evening and welcome everybody to play day number 6 of the European Pro League for Rainbow Six Siege. My name is Sean Bloodbath Rosenbaum, and co-casting with me tonight, as usual, is Devin Emzo Becker. Devin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I have been looking forward to an ENCE match with me on the desk for a while here, as they, unlike Rogue, will be going for yet another time. They've been here since the beginning, and to see how this is going to go after that Rogue Infamy match is exciting, to say the least. I mean, both matches today obviously going to be great. So this is, I mean, a phenomenal playoff day, I think, for EU.
I think it is as well. This is the first play day of the playoffs for the European Pro League this season. The winners of tonight's matches will move on to go to São Paulo, Brazil for the LAN event. The losers of tonight will have to play in just basically the placement matches for 3rd and 4th place.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think all of the regions have had pretty much 8 good teams. It hasn't been like how it's been a little bit in some previous seasons where we had teams that were just, you know, kind of squeaked in there. So overall, it's going to be great. We're
going to move into our brackets now, starting with Group A. This is how the first half of the European Pro League went through this season. We had ENCE secure a 4-0 victory through their 2 series, taking first place out of Group A. Snook and Nose had to fight their way against ENCE in the winners match, and then they had to go into the deciders to play Supremacy, where they secured a victory 2-1 over Supremacy, securing that 2nd seed spot coming out of Group A.
Yeah, they definitely had a little bit of a struggle there with Supremacy, but I definitely think they showed their own supremacy over that team eventually.
They did.
And a situation where I would hope going into ENCE, they know they're going to be in a bigger battle. I mean, ENCE has always struggled a little bit at LAN, but they've always shown up quite well on play days here. And so this situation where they know they have a big battle ahead of them. Same with whoever's going to have to fight Penta.
Yeah, and speaking of who's going to have to fight them, let's head over to Group B, take a look at that side of the group stages, and we will have Penta Sports securing a 4-1 score over the season to take first seed out of the Group B stages. Then we got Millennium, who came in towards the decider matches due to an issue with B Genius. They have secured their victory over Ares, getting that 2nd seed spot coming out of Group B. Those 2 teams will be playing tonight in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is going to be a heck of a battle. But Millennium, thankfully, have shown with their rematch against Ares once they kind of slipped in there last minute, despite the lack of practice that they showed, they have corrected a lot of their mistakes. And while it's still going to be a heck of a fight, I think Millennium are going to actually be a better showing than they had been in the past in this case.
If they can definitely keep up what we saw last week from them, it's definitely the case. We're going to see them be spectacular today.
Yeah, I would like to see Penta try and take them on Oregon, because I felt like that was a big showcase for them.
Now, in order for us to see that Penta Millennium game, they're both going to have to win their respective matches today, because our first game of the day is going to be ENCE Esports and Millennium, then Snook and Nose and Penta. As we said, ENCE is first seed out of Group A. Millennium is 2nd seed out of Group B. The flip side of that happens with Snook and Nose being 2nd seed of Group A and Penta Sports being 1st seed of Group B.
Yeah, today is definitely going to be a hype set of matches for sure. I mean, this whole week has been crazy, and this is the final of it with Millennium versus ENCE first, which we will be casting at 19 CEST, and then Snook and Nose versus Penta Sports, which will be coming up next. So make sure to stick around from beginning to end here, as we'll have Kixen and Taro for that one, and that should be good as well.
Yeah, both of these matches today have very well-known teams. Snook and Nose is the newest name to the Pro League, I'll say, because it just came about this season.
With all familiar faces.
But the players are very familiar.
Yeah.
They were formerly known as Playing Ducks. They've since left that organization and just going under the team name as Snook and Nose now.
Yeah, it was kind of almost a hybrid originally of Playing Ducks remaining members and then Euronics.
Yes.
And so they kind of took some of the best of those teams, and they've stuck around and done quite well. Hopefully they'll find in Oregon not just be Snook and Nose in the future there, but I do enjoy their logo. So we'll see what the future. I mean, imagine if they win this though, then there's an even brighter future for them in terms of orgs. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first matchup we're seeing here today is ENCE and Millennium, and as we talked about it, ENCE has always been on their game when it's come to the regular season, but they've struggled at times at LAN.
Yeah.
And so with that, we are going to move into our interview here with a member from ENCE Esports. It's Shate, a well-known figure in the community. Shate, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm fine. I'm excited for the match.
I hope you are. This is one that you need to secure if you want to get all the way to Brazil. There's no second chances this season.
Yeah, this is it.
So I want to bring up 2 topics for you today. One question I want to ask is in regards to time management. What kind of tips do you have for players or teams that are looking to work on time management? If they always find themselves going down to the last 5-10 seconds of a round, how does a team work on that to get better?
it's pretty simple in my opinion. If you find yourself attacking in the last 5 to 10 seconds, you just need to be more aggressive. I don't know any better answer to that, but like if you fail the rounds because of that, you just need to be more aggressive simply.
So how does a team practice on becoming more aggressive? Are there tactics they can do in dry runs? Do they progress on trying to take over a corner of the map quicker? What are some tactics or tips you can have for them?
I think if your tactic is based on pushing in the last 5 to 10 seconds, then you need to rework your tactics.
Mhm.
And if your tactic is not meant for that, and you still find yourself pushing in the last 5 to 10 seconds, then then the team is doing something wrong in the tactic itself. So I mean, improved droning. That's a big step. I mean, that's usually what takes a lot of time to like if enemy teams, if defenders roam a lot, you need to hunt them down fast if you are gonna hunt them down. So don't waste time on those things too much.
Awesome. And then to build on that, the last question I have for you is when a defensive team is very hyper-aggressive, what are some offensive tactics to combat that so that you're not necessarily slowed down to the point where you are in your last few seconds to win the round?
Gunpowder. I mean, you don't have to be too scared of like if defenders like to spawn peek or play aggressive. You just drone them out and fire them. I mean, if there is, for example, one roamer in one room, you just push the one roamer with 3 attackers or something like that. So I mean, it's pretty simple. Don't think too much, but go and shoot him.
Great. Well, thank you for the insight, Shate. Is there anything you want to bring up before we head out today?
Nothing much. I hope you guys have a nice evening. Enjoy this match. We will do our best and hope to see you guys in Brazil.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Shate. Good luck to your team today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Some words of wisdom there for
I know, right?
supremacy, I suppose.
But here is our lineup for ENCE Esports today. We're going to start off with Boonsi, Wilkie, Panari, Shate, and Cantor Raketti. 5 of the most consistent players, or the roster that has the 5 most consistent players that I've seen, I think, out of all the Pro League regions so far.
Yeah, they've made very few changes since the first season. There has been some, but it has been relatively minor, and they've stuck with the exact same lineup, as far as I know, since last season at the very least. And it's worked pretty well. I think, for example, Kanto has come down a little bit in terms of fragging, and you've seen Shate fill that void. Like, he was always a good fragger, but he's really kind of stepped it up even more so this season. I think we saw, like, a first-round ace from him in a previous match, and I think that's the only 3-point plus there we've probably ever seen in Pro League. So again, like, I think that some of that's due to Kanto, maybe not getting as many kills as he was before, leaving plenty for Shate, and he is stepping way up.
Yeah, I mean, we often talk about it, and I'm sure we'll bring it up, and I'm sure we'll see it today as well, but Shate is one of those players that we continually talk about, his ability to clutch situations. And when he's left in a position where he is outnumbered, he's got that game sense that we look for in very competent Pro League players.
It's the calm as well. Like,
Yeah.
I've talked to him many times. He just does not get tilted or pressured in clutch situations. As soon as I see like a 1v3 or 1v4 with Shate, I'm just like, he's probably got this.
He already won.
He somehow does better in those situations, and I think that's something that's somewhat rare among players in Pro League, and that's, I think, done him well. I mean, even though he's gotten a 3.27, I think he's still somehow leaving plenty of kills for the rest of his team, which is why his team, of course, is 2-0ing everyone. Because you've got Boonsi, Wilkie, and Panari with all 1+, all the way up to 1.8 on Boonsi, who will go, like, you know, rounds without doing much, and then all of a sudden kill half the team. And so I'm very impressed with this team this season. I look forward to how they're going to be playing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to how these guys are going to participate in tonight's matches. But let's move on to our second lineup of the evening. We don't have an interview for you, unfortunately, but Millennium is that team.
So we got Stizzy, Livin, Yogurt, Renshiro, and Ahiris. And these are some guys that almost were out of it.
Yes.
And then managed to get back in because of what happened with BGenius. And taking on Ares for a second time showed huge improvement, like we talked about. These guys really showing up. We saw some great plays, especially from Livin, just really doing like the performance they should have been doing earlier on in the season. And I don't know if some of that was just a case of like, we don't have any strats. We're not prepped for this. We looked over what we did wrong before, but we weren't prepared to do this, and just played their hearts out. And I would hope they would not rest on their laurels from that, like in terms of being like, okay, we were able to do that, because ENCE is, you know, I mean, they got to go, okay, we need to do that again, +1. I mean, we're going up against someone with a 3+ KD, so.
Yeah, no, you need to prepare for this matchup if you are anticipating on beating ENCE today.
Yeah.
They're just, you can't not prepare for a match that is this big.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and this is again like with what we said about Rogue and stuff like that. There's no second chances in this.
No.
You may have had some second chances when there was a losers bracket, but when you're coming up out of the losers bracket, definitely no second chances. That's for sure. And you don't. I mean, you're in at least an okay position going into next season, but you don't want to wait that long. That's for sure.
No, you don't want to wait that long, especially when this is the only LAN event outside of Europe for PC.
Yeah, that's a big deal for them.
Let's move in and talk about our top 5 picked attack operators for the European Pro League, starting with Hibana, almost reaching that 95%, sitting at 94.2%.
And this is a gap we've seen quite a bit when it comes to the top operator, maybe more so for Ela in some regions and Hibana in other regions, in terms of like the attackers versus defenders. But this is a case where Hibana is just, I mean, with a 94%, is that like 3 rounds not played in the entire season? That's, I mean, that must just be a particular bomb site that for some reason doesn't need Hibana. Basically every other site, because hatches are so useful. We've talked a lot about vertical gameplay in the past, and that's just one component of it, and that's why you see Buck here as well.
And so, like, for attackers, for Hibana in particular, we often talk about, I think there's 2 ways to reach that top level of the top 5 here, and that's either because you're overpowered or because you are extremely useful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a combination of both, but I think in Hibana's case, it is because she is extremely useful. She's not overpowered, in my eyes. Her ability, what she brings to the table, is just monumental for a team to win.
And I think a lot of people underestimate the killing power of her gun as well. And I think that's a situation where it's like, it's not just opening hatches, it's opening hatches and being able to play somewhat aggressive. I mean, yeah, an early Hibana dying sucks, but...
Now we're going to move on to our defenders here, our top 5 picked out of Europe, and it's going to be a lot more of a straight line here. Mira, Smoke, Jaeger, Bandit, and Ela all sitting within 5 percentage points of each other.
This is the region that seems to resist Ela the most for whatever reason, which is, it seems odd to me, and it's a situation where the character is clearly powerful. I don't want to say overpowered because things can shift in the meta at all, in all times, regardless of, and we have mid-season reinforcements and things like that. But at the current situation, it is very much like Hibana, one of those ones where you just, there's a good reason to bring Ela, because roaming has become more and more important as site defense has become more difficult because there's more attack operators that could do different things to break into a site. You really have to depend on those roamers.
So those are going to be our attackers and defenders out of the European region. We're going to move into our map bans here momentarily. With the map bans, as we get underway, we have seen Border, we have seen Consulate, we have seen Oregon. Those, I think, have been the 3 kind of core maps this season. A little bit of Coastline sprinkled in here and there.
I think we'll see probably 2 of those 3 at least. I mean, there's a good reason. And both these teams favoring Consulate and Border a bit. I think there's a higher chance of at least one of those 2, if not all 3 of those. But then again, ENCE is a team that does a lot of strategic counter banning. They very target their bans. So
I mean, we're going to see that
there's a target ban.
See you later.
Definitely.
Millennium won't get to play on that one. Bank, however, is going to be banned off the board here by Millennium, as well as Chalet.
And Bank is one that ENCE has played the season, so obviously they didn't like what they saw. And so you're seeing a lot of targeting banning against each other. ENCE actually hasn't been a big... like, they haven't been enjoying Chalet as much anymore, so for them, that almost works in their favor.
The Cafe ban I also see from ENCE coming out a lot. They banned it the last series they were in, and a lot of that I think is just due to they have been known to play on it so much that teams have now catered their defenses to ENCE's playstyle.
Not to mention Millennium's good on that map.
Yes.
So it's a situation where we are going to end up with the exact 3 maps we were talking about because it just makes sense for these teams. And you did see them counter-banning each other only to end up in the situation that was probably inevitable anyways. So all that banning for almost nothing.
So starting with the picks here, Millennium's going to get to choose the first map. ENCE will choose the starting side on that map, followed up by ENCE's pick.
I would think Millennium might lean towards Consulate because we're going to for him, but I could see Border as well. I feel like Oregon might be left as the decider, especially after their performance on it last time.
That's kind of what I've been feeling too. I think Millennium, given between Border and Consulate, because Oregon has generally been that decider match. I feel as though between Consulate and Border, Consulate seems to fit Millennium more, and that just sweeps up as Border as the second map.
That being said, ENCE is quite good on Consulate, so this could be a big risk for them in their first map. But like you said, it still makes sense for them, and it's a case where they're just going to have to be to take a lot less time to warm up than some teams do, because you do not want to be at a point deficit against ENCE at the beginning, because you're probably not going to be the comeback team in that situation.
Now, Millennium is at 100% win rate for playing on Consulate, which I don't know if that's 100% pick rate as well. No, I'm sorry, it says pick rate 25%. So out of all the games they've played, they've won every time it's been on, but they've only been on it once or twice.
I think that's because they only played it against Ares the second time when they were more on top of it.
So now we're moving into Ence's pick. Ence's pick is either going to be Border or it's going to be Oregon. And I think we're both in agreement that it's likely to be Border here.
Yeah, I think so. That's one that they've played pretty well on. They 5-1 Snook and Nose on it, and that's a pretty good play on there. But they're going to go with Oregon.
They will go with it.
It's something I don't believe they've actually played this season.
No, they have not.
Which surprises me. Yeah,
So there it is. Yeah, they haven't won on it because they haven't played on it. But this will be the first time this season we see Ence on Oregon, which I'm actually really curious because we often talk about how we want to see something different than a Ying Smoke plant. We saw a couple different strategies earlier this week through the playoffs, but we haven't necessarily seen Ence do it. And Ence is a team that we always have highly regarded as a very strategic team, and I want to see how that goes. Let's move into our community vote, though, as the game is about to get underway. It is going to be 36% in favor of Millennium, 64% in favor of Ence coming out on top today.
I feel like had we not seen Millennium's performance against Ares last time, it'd be a much smaller percentage for them, but I think they've shown they have potential, and that's why it's a bit closer to 50% than maybe it would have been earlier in the season.
Plus, they are the remaining team that holds that that French flag going into the playoffs today.
That's right.
So they've got the backing of the French community, which is wonderful to have. But as we do get underway here, we are going to have Ence on defense and Millennium on attack.
So they are going with I wouldn't say a standard defense, but one we have seen a few times. They are going to be bringing that Mute and that Echo. They're going to be trying to, I imagine those Mute Jammers as well may help keep Echo alive. But Shate, of all people, going to be on Echo should be interesting. We haven't seen necessarily too much in how well he uses that Yokai drone, but he is pretty effective regardless of the speed and armor of his operators generally. Kanto, on the other hand, I just feel was, and I said this before, he was better on Jaeger in terms of performance we've seen from him.
Yes.
And so hopefully he's able to perform a little bit better on Ela than he has previous matches here. Just because, like I said, he used to be such a fragging machine, and he's really kind of died down. You know, maybe it's everyone else on the team. You saw all their KDs. Maybe they're stealing him before him. But as a roamer, he should have potential for first frag, especially playing as Ela.
Yeah, I mean, before Kanto, like previous seasons, Kanto was always a, will Kanto pick up a frag
So
here?
close.
No, he's going to miss it. But in previous seasons, Kanto has always been a Hibana Jaeger main. That was his role.
And heavy roam as well.
Very heavy. But as the Hibana role has now become more important, I think that has forced him to play less aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we're seeing other players on the team pick up the slack.
Certainly, and that's something that maybe Millennium can take advantage of. They're bringing, interestingly, the IQ, which is something we've seen, quite a few times on Consulate from teams like Penta in the past, things like that. But there's no Valkyrie from the other team, so its effectiveness might be somewhat limited, but could be useful perhaps for the Garage to help breach it or to decide where to place things. But there goes Kanto off the board. As I said earlier, just not being effective there, but good kill by Yogurts.
He put himself in a very tight pinch. You had Blackbeard on the balcony window, people coming in from admin. He didn't know if Visa was clear. He was trapped right there. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. You really need to be very, very fluid as a roamer, especially a 3-speed roamer. And just unfortunately, they did a good job pinching him out there, and that's exactly what you need to do. Especially talking about what was said earlier by Shate, is you need to be able to clear the map faster, get in there and not make it down to the last 10 seconds. And killing an Ela early does that, but Shate easily counters that on a Aheres.
Yeah, that was a good refrag there. And we are down to a 4-4, still half the round to go. Diffuser's inside of that middle lobby, and the hatches are just about to get opened up.
This is going to give him some good angles down here and get a little bit cracking here with a minute and a half left. That's not too bad. I think they're doing a pretty good job getting set up here now that they cleared off the Ela roam. But if another roam comes up, they've got to be prepared to get shot in the back. Shate is going to be the site player, though.
Renshir working his way down the circle stairs, and still more players inside of that piano room from the attacking side. Going to try to open up some of the floor and get some angles onto Ence. Right now we are going to see that Mute, which is Wilkie, tucked right around inside a server. He hears the Blackbeard going down the stairs, and Renshir is trying to bait him out.
Good start to doing that there, but Wilkie's not going to peek his head out with a flashbang like that.
Need to reload.
Really actually coming down to time here. Like, they did a good job getting set up, but they're just having trouble getting any kills progressing in because Ence isn't giving anything to them and taking from them just as well.
There it is, Pennari though, grabbing the second kill onto Ents, and we have 20 seconds remaining. Yogurts is going to need to challenge Wilkie here. Wilkie being very patient as he's holding down the doorway. Wilkie's likely to pre-fire this, but they've got a nice pinch onto him. Will they go for the kill? There's Wilkie, smacks one down. Yogurt's gonna grab another shot. That's 2 for him on the day. It's a 3-on-2 now as Liven comes swinging on in. Might be picking up the kill on a Boonsy inside of the kitchen. No, he's gonna go for the plant instead. Renshiro falls and it becomes a 3-on-1. Plant goes down and Boonsy will take him out. That's gonna be Ents securing round number 1.
I like the way Wilkie played it back a little bit, took his kill and then hit again. Not necessarily because that was effective at getting another kill, but it left them scared. They had to just run in at that point, knowing that their back was completely exposed to Wilkie. Him just playing it very defensive like that really burned up their time. I'm not sure about Shate on the Echo, merely because he's been so effective at Mira, and that's a site that lends itself well to Mira as well, and I feel like he would have lived a bit longer and been able to be a little more effective as Mira, but at the same time, didn't really matter in the end because Ents did a great job killing whoever was left.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see the Echo play, and I feel Shate is comfortable on both Mira and Echo because they play very similarly in regards to their speed of play.
But it's the gun.
It is definitely the gun has a big part to play in it. But I guess it's just the strategy they're going to go with here when we will likely see him on Mira sometime today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the C4 as well factors in because Echo doesn't have one. But nonetheless, interestingly, Millennium going to be starting in the lobby and going to be bringing that Legion, something that we've only seen a couple players be very effective at. I think it's a great operator. I just think you have to play him a certain way. And I still think most of the time it's about site play. I think he's a stronger site play operator. But we'll see what Yogurts is going to do. He's still kind of in the site area, but he may go for the roam. I could see utility on roam as well, but we'll have to see how Yogurts does it. We have seen him sometimes be effective on it previously when playing this map, so I'm not going to rule it out yet. But I don't know. I'd almost rather see him on Bandit at this point. But at least they're bringing a Valkyrie here. They should get some good intel on Ents' approach, especially if it's going to be an admin push.
We say that, but then Shate's got the IQ being brought out. And I want to say Ents was actually anticipating a downstairs hold, seeing as how they brought the Hibana and Thermite.
Oh, way to punish that. Wilkie says, oh, you're going to shoot at me? That's fine. I'll turn around and shoot you back. Those Thermite flicks, right? So nicely done. He loses a bit of his health, but taking off the Valkyrie at the beginning is good, especially if all those cameras hadn't been thrown yet. Like you said, that IQ pick is definitely going to be useful for Shate. If there wasn't any cameras left, there won't be now. And that is a good start for Ents because now they can kind of adjust their approach accordingly. But Liven...
I think Liven saw it, but Pennari didn't. And so Pennari will have to move on out of here. He's going to move his drone in forward, likely go for a pre-fire.
He could have gone for the jump out as well. He had it prepared for it.
He heard the Claymore. He didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He heard that Claymore. He knew he was going to go out. So instead, he opts to toss that Ela mine, waiting for anyone to try to hop on in. And he's going to take a little bit of refuge on the bottom of the circle stairs.
I like the play and counterplay between those two. The Claymore prevented the jump out, then the drone prevented him from being able to stay there. Nice back and forth between these two teams, seeming to kind of read each other.
Already scanning.
Oh, there's that Ela mine's going to get caught out for sure as well.
Yep,
He's gonna nice bounce.
The Ela mine. Now likely we're going to see a hop in and push on over towards those circle stairs, but Shate's got to be wary of the bathroom window. That's a good distraction from the Jaeger up top.
Yeah, opening windows can be really great for throwing people off, even if you don't plan to use them or just want to jump out them.
Oh, and Harry's will try to jump out, and it looks as though Pennari will take him down. Yogurts, though, getting one kill into Kanto, a 4-on-3 now, as bottom of the stairs where Liven has moved on over to. He tries to go for Shate, but he's got to watch behind him. What are you doing, Pennari? He's going to run right past him as well. Liven managing to escape with his life. Yogurt's going to go down as well. Shate going to snag that kill, a 4-on-1 now with 60 seconds to go.
Liven could have easily had 2 kills and brought this to 1v2, but no, missing both those shots. Yeah, he got his life, but getting Pennari down here is not going to do much when Wilkie's right behind him.
3 people outside of yellow stairs, 2 scatter right up in front of Liven. The third one is the one that's going to pick him off.
He obviously was surprised. Like, you could see, wait, hey, what? How did they not see me? Okay, I'm going to run. Like,
Yeah.
just booking it at that point. So that whole round, just you could see Millennium trying to play a bit like what I was talking about with Oregon, where they're playing a lot of roam, they're playing a lot of flex play, kind of taking these cheeky peeks. That was their first offensive round, so I definitely think that was like the time to try that, the time to throw Ents off their game and not give them a good information about your defense. Because we've talked about a lot of teams will kind of feel out the first couple of rounds, and I doubt that gave Ents much to work with in terms of future rounds. Unfortunately, though, they lost the round, so it's not going to pay off too much. Yogurt's at least got 3 kills, so, you know, I guess maybe the Legion worked out okay.
Yeah, I'd say it did.
Yeah, that's, 1 kill is still more than a lot of Legions get, so I'll give him credit there for sure. But now we're going to see ENCE playing upstairs here. So again, this is one we haven't seen a ton of this season, but it is one that has not really lost its effectiveness necessarily. It's just one that maybe lobby has just become more interesting to players.
I feel as though what's happened with the upstairs is it has become a little stagnant in regards to how you take it, because most attacks start, regardless of wherever the bomb site is, starts on the top 4, work their way down.
Yeah.
And when the defense is on the top
doesn't give
floor,
you anywhere to go.
It gives you no chance to kind of gain coverage unless you're already going to be in combat.
And this is a site we used to see a big retake strategy on, but teams have gotten good at taking the middle floor as well. Oh, Shate finally punished by that.
Shate is one of those players that if you can, you want to get them off the board as quick as possible, and that's exactly what Renshiro was trying to do. But a refrag comes from Wilkie.
I feel like every time we've seen Shate go down, Wilkie's there to trade it off and there to make sure that that's fine. We still have enough fragging power between all of us that it's not going to be a big deal. And I mean, yeah, it's great to see Shate for the clutch there at the end, but
so far, ENCE hasn't needed to use him in a clutch situation.
We're not going to get into clutch, guys. We don't need Shate. We're fine.
Now, I like what they're going to be doing here. Kanto's likely to go for a nice pre-fire around the corner, waiting for some bullets to get baited out.
Blackbeard always useful in these top floor attacks because he could be on the B window, he could be on that balcony window, he could be on the admin window, and he's effective at all 3, but he's got to watch for C4s there or the window peek.
Now, I liked that crossfire by ENCE. You had the bait out by Boonsy, and then Kanto picked up the frag.
And that's a strategy we see actually work a lot for teams, is where they lay down underneath the window like that. That's a good counter, especially since you can kind of shoot underneath Blackbeard's shield better.
Now, Pennari's looking to dance around the sideway here as Liven has his sights lined up waiting for the push. Now he's going to move on over. There's a good crossfire here between Kanto and Pennari. Will they be able to pick off Liven? It's likely to be the case, but they might lose one in the process.
These kind of crossfires work great most of the time until you get panicked like
Two
Millennium
crossfires here. Here's going to be there. He will pick up Kanto, and it looks as though Liven might try to move on over, and I think we saw Pennari escape for now.
Looks like they're still trying to soften up the projector room a bit here, but don't seem to be getting a lot of progress in getting in control of the upstairs, as it seems like ENCE are holding pretty tight, but it is a 3v3, so with a minute left, this could easily go either way or get down to the last 10-second massacre. Fortunately, here he's very low on health, though.
Now, Liven having the cover from his teammates will be able to survive throughout that Ela mine. Wilkie has moved over to the bathroom. I like this angle here through the bathroom wall.
Wilkie's good in bathrooms.
She's being quite pressured here by the flashbangs from Liven. Stizzy's over by the soda machines, and Aheres has gotten onto the Blackbeard window. Pennari goes down. Now on top of the balcony is Aheres. He's going to peek around, grab another kill. That's 3 for him on the day. Wilkie as well, still going to be inside of the bathroom. He's going to move on over. It's a 3-on-1. Liven looking to cover on over. There's a nade. Will it drag him down? No, it won't. He's going to scoot on into connector. Aheres comes around, and will he grab the frag? Yes, he will. That's going to be a 4K for Wilkie.
I like how here he gets a kill, goes on low health, and still gets a 3K with about like 20, 30 health left. Like a single shot probably would have taken him down depending on where it was placed, yet he still gets 3 kills after that. So well played on him, definitely playing a very strong IQ there. And I credit him to the win for that round because not just because like he was doing a good job working with his teammates. You saw how the fire being shot out by Wilkie gave, at a different teammate, gave him the information to be able to make that peak. But just again, being able to still continue to play aggressive with low health and win your gunfights is not easy to do because generally, unless you have good intel or good communication, making peaks is risky with low health because you can't survive getting hit and then trying to trade it back.
I think Aheres did a very nice job there, especially at the very beginning, because you had Liven inside of the admin top floor. He was being pinched by Pennari, and I think it was Pennari and Kanto. But it was Kanto that actually was being pinched by Liven, and Aheres at below. So the pinch took out one, and then they were able to take control of admin, take control of the soda machines, and so on, and move forward into the bomb site. Yeah,
overall a great round for Millennium. But they are still a point behind here, so they're going to have to pick it up here. We're going to see Yogurts on that Legion again, but this time they're going downstairs instead of the lobby. Again, they're not a big fan of the top floor, but we still will probably see it once from them at least. So going to be some more outside cameras here. Shate going to be on that IQ again, so those probably will get spotted. We'll see if he gets picked off the board as early as he did last time, trying to take those pot shots at Wilkie.
Yeah, no, Renshiro as well as Shate have been quite aggressive today with the peaks, and
this is the map though for it. I mean, Consulate is the spawn peak map, though.
It is, but spawn peeking in general is unusual to see in the Pro League because the defenders get punished the majority of the time.
And we've seen that. We've seen it work both ways, but it's definitely been especially punishing for the defender. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for Renshiro, but I like that he opened windows to make it so that they were wondering if he was going to. That's a great way to play it, and he's still going to do the late peek instead.
Now we just saw the usefulness of the IQ. Shotte got rid of one of the Valkyrie cameras. Likely to see this other one in front of the Consulate.
I like how he threw it after, hoping that the other ones it wouldn't be looked for because they thought they were all coming. I saw Shotte switch on the thing right after, so he might have seen that thrown out. Yeah, you see Kanto looking for it as well.
Renshiro knows there's someone right down here. Will he be able to grab it? But Boonsy's already got his sights lined up. If Renshiro peeks a little bit more, he will be seen. And
there we go.
It is. Wonderful shot. Boonsy picks off the head of Renshiro.
That's the second time we've seen a Blackbeard counter pick.
And it's been a Valkyrie for 3 straight rounds.
Yeah, Renshiro probably just give up on the peeking thing. Get your cameras out and move on. Because so far it's been a losing game for you because we've seen some good Valkyrie roam. There's no reason to sacrifice Valkyrie that early. Oh, the old hanging upside down on the window we were just talking about yesterday.
Now, I feel as though if you're Valkyrie, one, if the cams are getting spotted out right away, and two, if your Valkyrie is peeking and getting picked off right away, then maybe you should consider putting the Valkyrie cameras inside.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
The outside information is good, but that's useful for what, the first 20 seconds?
If they're not playing an IQ, yeah. But Panari off the board early is not good if they didn't have all the hatches open. They did get the garage door open, so that's good. Wilkie did his job, but Panari dead is going to be a problem.
We do have Lesion off-site. He's going to be top 4 working his way down the yellow stairs. That's Yogurts.
He was good on this roam last time, so I'll give him some credit. He may be able to pull it off again. But if it stops working, I would switch off your strategy.
Aries will dodge that nade as it didn't go all the way through. Kanto's going to move in from the main lobby over towards Piano, cover the yellow stairs. To his left is going to be Yogurts. Yogurts moves on over, his back's exposed, and he gets killed off. Shotte as well picking up a Aries, and there's a refrag from Stizzy. He's going to grab a 2K on the Boonsy as well. It's all to a 2-on-2. 25 seconds left. Stizzy and Live, and last 2 alive for the defenders. Wilkie going to try to go for this plant as Kanto has moved onto the yellow stairs, trying to cover the kitchen entrance. Stizzy's going to move on here. He hears the diffuser getting planted, and he does see Wilkie, but the shots are not going to land just yet. Stizzy will go down. It's all up to Liven. He will get one, moves on over, but Wilkie versing Liven. Liven's going to move on over, and he'll pick up the kill. Wilkie comes out on top. Ents secures round 4, 3-1 now.
Fantastic teamwork and timing there from Ents. You saw the way Kanto was helping cover him was great. The way Wilkie managed to get a plant just in time before he was about to get peeked, because it slowed down and they knew something was up, but it was too late. Once the plant was down, Wilkie had more than enough opportunity to use the crossfire from Kanto, and he sure did. And a nice coverage of each other, and that's the teamwork that we like to see. Unfortunately, Shatta seems to be struggling to get kills and getting killed in situations where I wouldn't expect it, but maybe he's just still warming up. Or maybe we're putting too much on his shoulders. But a 3-point, whatever,
of
KD.
the Pro League on your shoulders.
But if anyone could take it, I think it's him. And he's back on that Mira now, so we'll see that Vector do its justice, I imagine, here. Not to mention the C4. He has been fantastic at C4 kills and grenade kills. He should be like a Major League pitcher or something, because he is just great at those. And that's why IQ is also a good choice for him, I think, because that's one of those things that you forget about IQ is that she brings those grenades. And he definitely uses those effectively. You saw him do that one bounce to take out those Elder Mines, for example. So we'll see if this will be more effective than him playing that Echo as we were talking about. So it's almost like he heard us.
Now, I feel as though all 10 players we're seeing here today are very intelligent with their gameplay.
Yeah.
Yes, we constantly talk about Shotte. We know that he's a wonderful player, but all around, Shotte couldn't be Shotte unless he was with his 4 other teams.
Oh, absolutely. And you see Wilkie step it up time and time again as well. Maybe we don't give Wilkie enough credit, but Wilkie does a fantastic job as, I believe, still the IGL, as well as being a fantastic player. Fragger with unusual roles sometimes. You saw how great he was on Thermite. And that's not unexpected for me. Him and Shotte both play a lot of roles and switch with each other, and they're very, very flexible. Maybe it helps that they've been here since Season 1 last year, but I think they do a fantastic job of that.
I feel as though one of the benefits of playing so much with the same people is you do get this sense of play styles with each other, and you do get that ability to change up stuff and know how your teammates are going to react.
Absolutely. And we see Millennium make some changes as well here. I don't want to give all the credit to ENCE as well. I think Millennium has some fantastic players on it. We've seen some real great clutch plays from Yogurts and Liven over time, but I think Ahirs and Renshiro have been showing up a bit this round as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Stizzy the only one needing to pick it up a little bit, but we've seen great plays from him in the past as well. I don't think any of this team's really slacking. I think they're just being outplayed a lot of the times by ENCE, and that's a sucky situation to be in, but you gotta do what you can to try and make it to LAN.
Now, I like Kanto being right here. We actually saw this, I think, 2 season LAN events ago. Renshiro was going to be on the platform outside, and I think it was at the time, I think it was Penta. I think we might have saw it was Fabian during Year 2 Season 1 LAN. We saw this peak. And fortunately for Blackbeard, he will not get picked off. I think he might have moved already in. No, he's actually gone on over.
Kanto's just got to make sure he's got flexibility to not be pinched out here again, as that's been a problem for him in this roam in the past. Is he needs that flexibility. He needs maybe some of these drop hatches open so he can jump down, be able to rotate back to site, because an Ela that can rotate back to site and then rotate back up again through a different set of stairs is tend to be very effective, unless there's an extra floor to rotate to as well. And in this case, the top floor is taken control of, so I think Kanto needs to prepare for a site rotate. But everyone's kind of calming down now.
Yeah, this is a very slow-moving start here. It looks as though we are going to have a push onto the bathroom. They realize that it is Wilkie or Kanto inside. Both of them are inside of the bathroom. They've opened up the soft wall facing the back hallway. And the drop hatch, I don't believe, is opened just yet. So they are going to try to fight this out. Liven will go down, but so will Wilkie. Flashbang's going to go in. Boonsy picks up the kill on Stizzy, and now that's going to be a 5-on-3. However, Wilkie is injured. He has fallen through the drop hatch, it appears, and Kanto will pick him up. With 40 seconds to go, Shate gets a vector kill, but I think Renshiro knows he's right around the corner.
Smoke doing a great job from Bootsy there, stopping that though.
Oh, Wilkie, the ears right there. We'll hear that sound. Pick up a frag. Renshiro grabbing Boonsy. It's all up to the Blackbeard. Coming in the back hallway in towards the kitchen, and there's going to be a wonderful trade between Panari and Renshiro.
I like the strategy with having the mute in the bathroom in the sense of this particular situation, because it didn't just cover for him, it also covered for Ela when Kanto rotated back. Now, unfortunately, Wilkie got downed, but having Ela there to trade it and then pick him back up and rotate back the site, I think also worked really good in that particular strategy. I think they did a pretty good job on Millennium playing it pretty well. It was just, unfortunately, they weren't able to clear that bathroom, and that's where things started falling apart for them. And then there was good teamwork downstairs between Boonsy and Shate working together. You saw that smoke coverage for him. Unfortunately, Boonsy went down, but there was already someone there, in the case of Panari, to cover for that as well. And they did a great job, like, holding off upstairs with Kanto and Wilkie. So by the time they got down to site, there was 3 people down there to contend with, not to mention the Wilkie and Kanto still alive.
Yeah, no, I mean, what we're seeing here is, I think, what most of the community, according to the community vote, thought was going to happen. The community expects ENCE to win, for the most part, and I feel that ENCE is putting up a wonderful showing today. Millennium is as well, but I think what's happening is with ENCE is they are getting their crossfires, they're getting their setup complete, and their execution is on point today.
Yeah, it just feels like they didn't necessarily maybe need as much warm-up as Millennium might. I don't think Millennium are going to go out without a fight, whether it be this map or the next. I could see another point come back here, as they have been. I think the only round they won was on defense, so there could be a chance. Renshiro, though, needs to not spawn peek this if they want to come back. This is match point. Like, you can't be sloppy right now. And I don't know if anyone has actually won a spawn peek for the defenders so far. I think it's mostly been, if not entirely been, in the favor of the offense. So it's just, don't do it. Not even a late peek. It's not worth it.
It's either been in favor of the offense or of the attackers, or it's been neutral, where they haven't actually gotten the peek off. But you're right. It has not been in favor of the defenders yet.
Now, maybe if Renshiro had won one of these, I could see justifying, but he hasn't. And it's a case where, like I said, match point means they really got to be careful. There's another camera spotted. These late camera throws are actually backfiring, I think, on Renshiro, because it's making sure that they can catch him up. But interesting switch up. Shate on Twitch now and Kanto on IQ. So hopefully he can throw the nades as well as Shate.
It's going to start off with a good nade toss, but no one was in the yellow stairs at the time. And like you said, those late Valkyrie cameras being tossed on out, ENCE expects it. They're just waiting for windows to see where the toss is going to be.
Yeah, I think so far Renshiro has been kind of the weak link in terms of the defenses, which is unfortunate because Valkyrie can be such an important player in it. So like you said, probably better off putting those inside, as they haven't been able to do much with the outside information anyways. So it really hasn't paid off.
Stizzy going to take a little bit of damage by the C4 from Renshiro. Flashbang is going to come on in, and I believe that might have been from these Yeah, that is from the corner office window. Wilkie repels into the bathroom. Stizzy going to be inside of the cubby. About to drop into piano if pressure gets a little bit too heavy. There he goes.
I feel like Wilkie is just most comfortable in bathrooms all around, especially on this map. I don't know what it is. Maybe he has a bladder problem, but he does quite well in those. So I'll give it to him that, you know, stick with what works. But Renshiro again, the first one down. But then Panari getting another one on Yogurt, so I guess Yogurts can't talk too much bad about Renshiro.
No, these are some wonderful pinches we are seeing from Ents. We saw the Blackbeard and the Wilkie moving in towards getting the corner office peek onto Renshiro. Yogurts just got annihilated by the main reception top floor. And again, this is looking like it's going to be an Ents win for map number 1. Ahiri's going to try to hold down the fort inside of A. And right now he's not seeing too much, but he is going to try to navigate, get into a better position for someone trying to come in either from the yellow stairs or the drop patch of corner.
You see just deliberate movement from Ents. They're not really rushing in and doing silly stuff, but they're also not hanging out outside. And I think it's working out for them. But as I say that, Shate gets a little too aggressive in terms of peeking.
He was going down either way. There was a pinch on the yellow stairs, but there's Ahiri's comes swinging in, grabs Kanto, but he goes down by Panari as well as Stizzy. That dual kill is going to make it a 3-on-1. It's all up to Liven. And there's one kill down, but a nice instant refrag by Boonsy. Ents is going to take map number 1, 5-1.
So, I mean, that was absolutely the right move by Wilkie to go for that plant because it worked as nice bait. And we saw, again, the coverage on Wilkie. When Wilkie goes for the plant, his teammates are there to cover him.
Yep.
And that's why you want to plant while you still have a teammate alive.
So that's exactly, I think we talked about it during the Latin American Pro League two nights ago, is we talked about the importance of if you're going to go for a plant, it's not just about going for a quick plant. Whenever you plant, whether it's quick, late, mid-round of the game, you need to make sure that your players, your teammates, are in a position to help with that. After
Absolutely.
the plant's down, it's not just about the pre-plant.
Yeah.
It's about the post-plant as well.
And then Wilkie's able to hold his own once the plant actually goes down. So
Now let's take a look at some of the highlights here on Consulate and just how Ents took over this map.
Yogurt's had some good plays overall, definitely more so than his teammate Renshiro. So it's unfortunate when that didn't work out. Liven as well was able to make some good plays. But Wilkie definitely.
There's this one miss here by Liven. Second miss there, he just didn't know what was happening. He's like, I'm out of here.
You see Panari, like, he should have seen him on the way in, then gets shot and goes, what just happened to me? What?
But I mean, it was a smart move by both of them because first it was the IQ, then it was the Hibana, which are 2-3 speeds.
Yeah.
So they can just rush around the corner and not take that extra second to turn
Yeah.
around and try to go for
And you
a
saw him
play.
turn around once he was safe as well.
Yes.
So this great bathroom play here. A little bit of difficulty with it, but it ultimately paid off because both of them lived through it and got at least 2 kills from that bathroom. So.
Yep.
Overall, the strategy was clearly there for Ents. They were playing the strategy and making adaptations. You saw them change operators, sometimes switch between each other, and never once did I see it really not work out so much, other than Shate on Echo, and then switched over to Mira and got a kill. Like
there it is.
Like the one change up that they needed to make, really, they made, and then they were successful. And I think there's a reason we saw a 5-1 there. Clearly.
I think a lot of that might have been due to that mid-game change-up where we did see the change on Shate. We saw the other players start stepping it up. But as we get going, guys, it is time for map number 2. We're going to head into Oregon, which is the second map in this series. And let's see who is on what side and how it's all going to run down in map number 1, map number 2.
Yeah. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one, as this is one that Millennium has struggled a little bit on in terms of they lost it the first time to Ares, but then really showed up the second time against Ares on it, and I think had a really commanding performance. However, I would assume Ents saw that. But the thing is, going back to what Shate was saying during the interview, in terms of not getting down to the last 10 seconds, that's something they're going to have to be extra conscious of, judging by that 3-man roam team we saw going on last time against Ares. Because that's a situation where the reason for that last 10-second push half the time is roamers.
Yes.
And this is a map that lends itself, if you know how to play smart map flow, in terms of being able to rotate around the different sites, take advantage of the T-shape of the map, and be able to use that against the attackers to trap them in different situations, then it can be a big problem for Ents here. And maybe we'll see this go a little bit further. But at the same time, Ents has a pretty good track record on this map as well. So, and this was their map choice.
Now, I do find it a little odd. I'm curious as to the mentality behind this, but we are seeing Legion pick up instead of Smoke. Now, looking at this lineup, if I were to take out one person and bring Smoke in, because I feel Smoke is extremely viable for these downstairs holds,
Yeah.
it would either have to be Valkyrie or Legion. And Valkyrie with her cameras, possibly keep Valkyrie, use some cameras around that bottom site towards Laundry, and then leave Legion out. But we've also talked about the usefulness of them.
Yeah, especially I mentioned before in this previous map. Oh, there's Renshiro again. What are you doing, buddy? Come on now. You're not in a winning situation where you can just get cocky like. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this particular map before, it is a good one because you can control a lot of the downstairs in terms of playing sight and knowing where people are. Because getting 3 or 4 of those Legion mines up is fairly easy early on if you play sight. And then you know when the attack is coming from different sides, not to mention slowing it down with those goo mines. And I think that's very important because knowing whether you need to defend A or B is critical to defending that bomb site successfully. Because pinches on that bomb site work very well when they're executed well.
That was a good call. I believe we had Shate realize that the player who was inside of kids' dorms dropped into kitchen. He didn't even look in towards kids because the drone called him on out, and he moved on down towards the west stairs.
And that's the difference, though, between this team and Supremacy, for example. They're droning with people in the building, not droning to get into the building necessarily. So they're doing a great job of actually catching people out. And this is the roamer starting to get caught out. This is not good.
This is good because Liven has drawn attention in towards Armory, and Yogurts was the player there. He's going to pick up one. Can he get Panari as well? No, he's going to potato just a little bit, and that will lead into a nice trade. Good counter pickup here, a 4 on 3.
At least he's glad for having that 50 bullets. But Liven, unfortunately, his distraction is at an end now that Yogurts is dead.
And Ahiris will fall as well as the para picks up another kill. It's all up to Stizzy in a 1 on 4. And he's got 2 traps he can still throw down, but it's not likely he's going to walk away as a victor here.
Even if he plays it smart, I just cannot see this working with 1 HP versus a Glaz, a Capital, Ashe, and Hibana. No,
the smokes are going down, the fires are going out, the bullets are going flying. Stizzy will fall here. It's just a matter of how many people can he take with him, and that's apparently going to be 0. Shate gets a 3rd kill on the round, grabbing Stizzy.
Shate getting worried about that KD getting lowered.
He heard you talking smack about him on the intro.
Definitely a case where I don't think we're going to see him slack anymore. He's warmed up now. But nonetheless, that was definitely not a great round for Millennium, but they were still playing some smart plays other than Renshiro getting picked off early. Now, that wasn't completely Renshiro's fault, as you pointed out. That was definitely a case where they were doing droning smart and playing to those drones. But at the same time, I would almost argue that maybe you should start on site. Because being away from site is just, not to knock on him, it's just his strategy hasn't been working.
I have to second guess Renshiro being on Valkyrie after the performance we saw last map and after the first round here. I feel as though they need to change up that role for him.
Yeah.
Whether it be stay on the same operator but be in a different role, or change up the operator and be on the same role. Something needs to change because you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome.
Yeah. At least in that case of that round, Stizzy stayed mostly on site as that Legion, and I think that was a smarter choice for the reasons I mentioned earlier, especially on this particular bomb site. But I do think they might have been better off with the smoke. Smoke indeed, though. There will be one from here. From Boonsy, just like we saw. So this is like the Boonsy Shate kind of combo between Smoke and Mirror that we saw on the on Consulate Basement. And we are going to have Nari on the mute this time. And Kanto on Castle. So they definitely need those castles for whatever the strategy is, because you don't usually pick castle unless you feel like it's an important part of your strategy.
He's not one of those let's pick by default operators. He's got a specific use.
Not to say that his ump isn't a fairly effective weapon though when used well. It can be kind of close to like an MP5 and things like that.
Now, we were actually talking about this before. Again, I think these teams are picking up off of one another, and I really like seeing it. If we go down towards the meeting hall, we talked about before how the mirror window right by Garage Engine. Wilkie super aggressive. Will down Ahiris, but not get the frag. Yogurts will trade him off.
Not worth it, unfortunately. And that is another aggressive Valkyrie. Is Slashhug having a bad influence on this region?
I don't know. Zig might as well.
Yeah.
but no, inside of the meeting hall where we see Shate, he's got a mirror window which he can open up at any time, toss a C4 to the front stairs of Laundry.
Yeah.
That's something that's developed over the past 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, you were talking about that before, opening up that wall, going down to the stairs. I think that has been effective, and I agree that that's a great strategy because you don't have to open up that window till later, and we've got Mute with the C4, not having to depend on Mira instead. So I think this is overall a good strategy, good lineup, except for Wilkie jumping out. I guess he saw an opportunity, went for it. It almost worked, though, to be honest. He did almost make the trade, and that's something that we can't say for Renshiro.
Now Kanto has been spotted out. Oh. A nade goes in, and he goes down. Stizzy picking up the frag. Now they've got control of Attic. They're going to try to get rid of Panari, but a C4 will miss, and he's going to likely have to open up this castle barricade to get on down to site.
I think you might just stick Meeting Hall just to slow them down, even if it costs him his life. As you don't necessarily need him on site, especially without C4, but Panauri...
That's exactly why you keep him on top of the Meeting Hall. And there we go, picking up 2 kills on the Stizzy and Yogurts. 3 on 3 now. Wonderful return fire.
And there's pulling down the castle barricade. Okay, I've done my job. Now I can go home.
Let's go get out of here. That's also the diffuser that he's dropped, but he doesn't need to waste time for it. He's going to allow Millennium to take this over, rush in, and he's already back to site. There's 60 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could have rotated up and just tried to contest diffuser, but that could be risky.
Do you see this angle Boonsy has right here?
This is... Oh, he's using it too. You saw the spray there.
Love it, love it. Renshiro will go down. Panauri picks up a 3K so far. Can he get 2 more?
Missing that C4 doesn't seem to phase him too much. He's got that MP5 doing justice. And he is holding a tight angle as well. They're interesting playing the other side of the shield.
I know. I love the dual use of this shield here.
Yeah, it's good placement.
Living going to work his way down the stairs as we are going to have it here. He's trying to follow suit. Maybe apply a little bit of pressure from the top drop hatch, but it's not going to be too much. Inside of Harry Potter is where Shate is going to be. Liven looking like he's just about ready to move down. Shate picks up the frag. That's also diffuser down. It's all up to Ahiris, and he's moving in towards the red tower. Following suit, Shate's going to get another frag here in about 3 seconds. There it goes.
Yep.
Wonderful job there. Shate with 2, Panauri with 3, Ents 2-0.
I think Panari's been stepping it up a bit. Like, I think he started kind of slowly getting more and more kills last map. And then, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be like, you know, the top fragger of this map, but he's definitely been showing up for sure. Again, like, I feel like everyone has been except for maybe Kanto a little bit. Again, he's been, maybe everyone's just stealing his kills still, but he's been not as effective for the operators he's been playing.
To me, what, like, from a very outward point of view, looking in at Ents and looking at the team and what we're seeing tonight, it looks as though Kanto is the bait, and there are 4 other fishermen on the team.
Yeah.
And everyone else on Ents is picking up and grabbing these fish from the bait of Kanto.
Unfortunately, it'd be nice if the fish had teeth and they were hunting a shark instead. But in this case, nonetheless, they are still up 2-0 after winning 5-1 previous map. So I think Kanto could probably just take a nap at this point and still be fine. But again, like, so, you know, operators like Ash are not really bait. You know, you don't usually bring them in there to draw fire. You usually bring them in there to take heads off. But, you know, whatever. Renshiro, again, not changing up his operator. He obviously feels very comfortable being the first to die on Valkyrie as often as possible. So, you know, hey, stick with what you know, I guess. But anyways, hopefully there's some good adjustments here from Millennium. I thought they had a decent plan last time. I never agree with playing an Armory, though, as a roamer, especially when it's like pulse and things like that, because you trap yourself. If that room had a drop hatch, absolutely, because you could drop down in a garage.
It quote-unquote does, but it's just you hop out the window, hop back in, and you can go out undetected.
That's true, but
that's often covered as well.
So risky, so risky. So I think it's always better to be in kids than Armory. Even Master, I would say, over Armory. But in this case, you know, we'll see if he can make it work. Last time he was a nice distraction for Yogurts, but I can't imagine they're going to fall for that a second time. Kanto, though, going to be the one to try and take the west side here. And the spray through, there's one for Kanto.
It's Renshiro going down early again. I feel as though he is trying to be that influential distraction on Millennium, but it's not working out for
Yeah,
him.
if it lasted longer than a minute, it'd be fine.
Agreed, agreed. He needs to waste at least 90 to 100 seconds or so. And it's not working out for him. Liven, though, will pick up Shate, get downed by Kanto in return on the cross. And there's still 2 minutes to go in this round.
You can see the pressure falling down on Stizzy here to try and hold up his end after he loses 2 of his teammates on that roam. He's a little cautious now, worried about that kitchen push coming through because they have that wall open for Pantry. It is now a 4v3. So, I mean, losing Shate again is unfortunate. That Capitao is helpful for this push, but they've still got the Ying. They still got Hibana to go for the plant, Thatcher to take down anything that might be stopping Ying's throws there. So, still a great lineup for pushing this. Stizzy at least rotated back to site. That was the smart choice here, as he was not going to be successful without his teammates upstairs.
There's one of the one of the goo traps just laid out right in front of Panari's drone. He's already going to call that out. Just say, hey, look. Either toss an EMP or shoot it, nade, frag, whatever it be.
Unfortunate for Stizzy. He's like, oh, I got this in case they drop hatch. Yeah, so they're probably not going to drop hatch without that takedown.
No, there's that EMP. It just went off, got rid of it. Stizzy as well going to hear the barbed wire getting destroyed. Panari having one heck of a time trying to get rid of it. Stizzy picks up that frag, but now he's been called out on the stairs. There's going to be a pre-fire here from Wilkie, or he's going to hold the softer angle. Boonsy above. Likely to pre-fire this as well.
Now they needed Kanto to save a breach charge for that barbed wire because that really backfired now that they've lost a Diffuser down there. That's pretty bad, but nice bait by Wilkie there.
He didn't capitalize on it, though. He'll go down by Yogurts, by the Diffuser, and by the bomb. Moves on over to the bottom of the stairs, and Kanto is there to pick up a kill. 2-on-2 now. Kanto and Boonty, last two alive. Boonty's going to go down, pick up that Diffuser. There are 25 seconds left to go. Stizzy's inside of the cubby as we have a Heries behind that mirror window with a C4 still in hand. Right now, that's, I think, the last EMP grenade, last flashbang as well. And we are likely to see this C4 come on out. Boonty will survive! And the plant might go down here. We are going to see Kanto pick up one kill. Can he get another? He does successfully. Ents securing 3 straight rounds in a row here on Oregon. They go up 3-0. What a wonderful moment here for Ents.
It feels a little mean to say this maybe, but that was kind of a Heries' fault for missing that C4, unfortunately.
It was tossed a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean, because I not only say that because had it worked, they could have taken that round.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate. And that's why having smoke is effective as well, because you can't rely on the C4s. And I think Brazil has done a good job showing when it works and when it doesn't. And teams have adapted to that now because that Brazil meta has shifted over, and more teams outside of Brazil have been using C4s to try and defend. And so people are getting a little bit better at dodging it.
Yes.
But in that case, I still think they played it fairly well downstairs when it came down to it. I think the Legion did a good job sticking to site, using his Legion traps to try and trap around where they might approach, things like that. So I think they played it overall well. It was just down to that missed C4 was unfortunate. And I love the way Stizzy managed to trap that C4, I mean the Diffuser, down at the bottom of the stairs because Kanto didn't have a breach safe to do that.
I would have liked to have seen Stizzy throw a couple more goo traps on those stairs when he had control of it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes, there were more EMPs tossed down, but I don't know exactly where those EMPs went off, if they would have gotten the entire set of stairs or what have you. But I believe he still had at least 1 or 2 traps left.
Yeah, and he could have gone for a throw when Shiro was hitting the barbed wire, but he realized smartly I should go for a peek instead, and then I have the opportunity because he had one at that time.
Yes.
But like you said, he should have followed that up with throwing one near the Diffuser. So as soon as they ran for the Diffuser, they'd hit the Goo Mine, and he'd know the Diffuser was picked up. And because you can hide it basically on the Diffuser, they're not going to see it. So, nonetheless, 3 up here for Ents, looking to close this out and head to Brazil soon at the rate they're going. But Millennium going to be fighting for their life here. We've seen sometimes when push comes to shove, at least against Ares, they were able to pick it up.
Yeah, they are going to need to turn things around into their favor, start mitigating some of the opportunities they're missing, and start capitalizing on some of the very few mistakes that Ents is making.
So far, at least they've capitalized on Kanto by taking half his health off. We're not seeing Wilkie jump out any windows just yet, so hopefully he can stay his aggression a bit more this time. But, I mean, it's not like it was a terrible idea. It just, unfortunately, didn't work out. So, see the caution here from these guys worried about that tower now, but they are taking control of it to make sure that's not going to happen. And then Shate coming alive, taking down Stizzy is a sledge down. Not the most critical operator, but a very useful one off the board.
Yeah, getting that soft wall destruction as well as 2 of the nades.
The nades probably being, if anything, the bigger part of that, really, just because of the effectiveness now that Jaeger has been downplayed a bit in terms of all the things that can take out his ADS.
Kanto has navigated through thick and thin, away from the drones. He was downstairs, moved into Classroom. I'm not quite sure if Wyvern's going to spot him out here.
Classroom's a great place to play if you're playing smart to how they're approaching. If not, you can be cornered as well. He might even want to pre-open the window, just be able to jump out if he has to, give himself an escape route, but Renshiro pushing aggressively here. This is something we used to see a lot, was a Blackbeard in Armory, firing down the hallway, and it's something I think fell out of fashion a little bit, because we used to see the Hibana open the wall for that, but...
Now, do you feel that Ents is giving up too much? With the level of play that they're doing right now, are they giving up too much of their strategy on Oregon for LAN?
I don't think so. I think they're just... I mean, their strategy tends to be crossfires and trades.
Yep.
And I think that's something that's a fundamental. So I don't think that's something that you have to worry too much about. And I don't think they're using their top secret strategies. Boomsy, though, using his top secret bullets right into the Renshiro's face. So that's
going to be one gas grenade pushing them back just a little bit here. Yogurt's going to drone in, taking this time to get some more information. Here he's ready to capitalize on it. Panario about to peek as well. Lyven, however, will go down. And here his shoulder was just seen. Panari spots it, but he will not get this frag. And there he goes. Finally gets it. It's a 1-on-3 right now. Yogurt has to clutch this, and he does not. Wilkie will pick up that frag with the MPX. Round 4 going to Ents Esports. They are now up 4-0 on match point, series point, and Brazil point.
Nice done again. That was just, they gave up a lot of site control, but they pushed it down the crossfires, and you saw almost every kill on them traded.
Yep.
At the very least, not to mention kills without being traded. Not sure what Ahiris was thinking jumping in that window right after the shots came out of it. You got to, because you can, the thing about tracers is you can see the angle which they're fired.
I have to say that it was tunnel vision.
Yeah.
I think he was focused on someone inside of A, inside of kids' dorms or whatever have you, and he wasn't paying attention
And the time
to
pressure, I would imagine, as well.
Yep.
But it was just like the bullets just came at you, just missed you. You got a second chance on life because Panarin missed his shots. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was stuck there as well. It's not like he was going to go anywhere unless he repelled up. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a bad little last-minute choice. And what I was going to say, too, about the strategy as well, not just the crossfires and trades, but ENCE have picked up on something that that Shadow was talking about as well, which is the time management topic you brought up. And Millennium have shown that they haven't been great on time management because ENCE seem to know when to turtle. They seem to know when to hold site and hold crossfires and let Millennium take map control. And it's not a retake strategy. They're like, that's fine, come at us. We're ready to defend the site very aggressively because we know you're going to be desperate by the time you get in here.
I mean, how many times that last round did we see any ENCE player actually be the first one to engage in a fight?
We didn't. Even Kanto was still alive, hanging out outside of it.
He was
you know?
waiting. Yeah, they kept on waiting for Millennium to push them, to expose themselves, because the defense was solid. Their setup was solid. They had crossfires. They had their nooks and crannies. They knew where the push was coming from.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job.
And that's clearly why they won that round and why they're on match point again to take this potentially 5-0, even better than last map, but this was their pick. So Millennium really needs to step it up here. I like that peek and then just run away real quick.
Ahiris knew the bait. It might have been due to a camera by Renshiro. I'm not entirely sure, but Kanto was ready for it.
It's definitely going to make ENCE question that window, and that's the most important part. I like the pre-fires to this mattress. That mattress is always suffering from many, many holes.
Now, fortunately here for Yogurts, he will navigate away with minimal damage. Gets behind the reinforced wall.
I think they're taking a little page out of ENCE's book here and doing some peeks and then just pulling back. They're really just trying to slow down the push of ENCE because of that time management thing. The more they can slow them down, the better. And
Nice job by Liven playing the farther angle on the stairs as we had Kanto hop in the window, look up those windows.
So that is Kanto off the board. That's a good start, but Kanto hasn't always been the most important person on the team. Shadtay's still alive. He's going to... Renshiro's still alive, though. I mean, that's almost a first here. So this is looking good for one round for Millennium. Just off of that alone, it's a good omen.
Still over half the round to go, and inside.
Ahiris
grabbing that kill inside of the closet. Panarin going to meet his fate there. That's also Diffuser down, and the wall into Master had not been opened up. Ahiris going to stay inside of the Master bedroom at the moment, and he's going to hold down the fort.
And there's no Thermite as well, so that was the game-changing kill right there, I think, for this round.
I think what I would love to see is if there was a castle, just like castle that Diffuser in there. Like, have some fun with it, Millennium. If you're gonna win this round,
yeah, there's no sledge, there's no Hibana. Like, good luck opening that without just smacking it 12 times, 13 times, whatever it was. So yeah, now Shadtay's like, okay, this is gonna be gunfights then. Gunfights it shall be. Almost gets Ahiris, but looks away just at the wrong moment.
Now they have opted to remove themselves from that Master bedroom. Gonna move in, and Stizzy will grab Shadtay down. A 5-on-1 now. Candella's gonna go in, and Yogurts get the double kill to win the round here for Millennium. It is 4-1 right now. Could Millennium be on their comeback?
So let's see. Let's review the formula for Millennium winning a round. Renshiro doesn't die in the first minute.
Yep.
And kill the person with the diffuser who's also an important utility operator, and then the rest of the round's in your hands. So let's see if they can repeat something like that. But unfortunately, they don't have an extra round to be on defense, and defense has so far been the only time they've won any rounds this match. They won once with defense last map, once with defense this map, so it's not a great place to be for Millennium.
Yeah, no, right now having the bomb site be in laundry room and supply room with ENCE and their quite overwhelmingly powerful hold last time.
Yeah.
It's gotta be frustrating for Millennium because they have been given a second chance, if you will, in the decider matches.
Yeah.
They've come here, they've achieved what few teams are able to achieve, getting to the playoffs.
But at least I think this makes them safe for next season.
Yes.
So that is something that they did gain from beating Ares.
Yes.
So I'll give them that at least. They secured something they don't have to fight in relegations for now. So that's better than nothing, but it is unfortunately kind of like you're saying, sort of a concession prize if they can't take this.
We're going to have Wilkie inside of the red tower on Valkyrie as the prep phase slowly ends here momentarily. Does get a good drone kill there. Wonderful eyesight.
I imagine they're going to anticipate the mute. Panari's hanging out in this meeting hall. Like last time, that was such an important factor.
Well, last time it was, I think, Kanto that had been killed off, as well as Shate had rotated back to site, so it was only Panari in there. This time around, they're going to have 3. Shate, Panari, and Kanto.
Shate, especially holding that window so Panari doesn't have to, so he can guard the backside for the stage, as well as Kanto covering for him. I think there's going to, at the very least, be trades when they try and take it.
Good C4 by Shate. He's going to grab another one out of Shiro, but Stizzy and Yogurts, he's going to grab one out of Shate Panari. Boonsy also down. Yogurts slapping up a kill here on Millennium. What just happened? All in the moment of about 7 seconds. Kanto, last man alive in a 3-on-1. He could be coming around for a good old flank. He's above the drop hatch at the moment, but the plan is going to go down inside of B. Yogurt's going to be inside of the cubby as Stizzy plants the diffuser inside of B. And here he goes. The drop happens. Yogurt knows he just needs to stay put. And there he goes. Kanto picks off 1. He's got 2 more to go. Pre-fires around. Here he's going to move in as well. There's going to be 1 smoke grenade. Candela's going on out as well. Stizzy peeks around the corner. And Penny grabbed the kill. Kanto walking away with 10 health down. Stizzy, it's all up to a clutch here. 1 bullet from either of these players will take the other out. We either have a trade or we have a victor. Who's going to walk out on top? Here he has the advantage. He's prone behind the doorway right now. Kanto, however, is going to chase him around. He's going to grab the frag! Kanto grabs that 3-on-1 clutch. He's going to secure this victory for ENCE, and they are going to go to the São Paulo, Brazil LAN Finals for Season 3.
They had everything in their favor, and every one of them peaked.
Every single one over-peaked, and unfortunately for Millennium, that is not how you want to end this series, and they did. And that is ENCE picking up a very strong victory. 5-1 on map 1, 5-1 on map 2. Overall, a 10-2 victory here today for ENCE Esports.
And that was absolutely the best way to have the final round. You had everyone dying in the first 40 seconds to come down to a 1v3 diffuser planted with a castle on low health.
So if, going back to Shate's interview, if your team is struggling with time management, just rush your butt in there and then hope you have a Kanto on your team to cover your rear.
I guess. And I'm surprised Kanto didn't go down in the skirmish and meeting hall. Somehow he survived it, and that was what they needed.
So I guess what we're saying here is if you want Kanto to do wonders, you put him in the last person alive situation.
Much like Shate,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Like Shate.
That's where some of these guys perform. If they could bring that to LAN this time, then maybe we'll get a little bit farther.
What a match, though. That matchup between ENCE and Millennium spectacularly won here by ENCE. Let's take a look at some of these highlights here. Yogurts grabs 1, but just a hair to the left of that player outside, could not grab another.
We just didn't see jump outs and peaks work.
Not much.
I mean, you saw Wilkie try it there as well. It just was no one's day in terms of over-aggressiveness. Turtling generally won the day overall. Shate peaking at just the right time as well. Stizzy, though, with a very well-timed play there.
He had 1, I just looked right there, 1 goo mine he still could have placed down onto the stairs. I don't recall if he did or didn't.
No, he didn't, and that's because I made a note of that when we were watching it. Like, why aren't you using that right there? Put it on the diffuser.
Now, that was a good placement there by Liven, and that was the 1 round they did end up winning. But here's that 3K victory by Kanto.
This fight, though, that was a potato mash right there. That was just bad.
Stizzy should not have re-challenged that. After he didn't get Kanto at start.
No, it's diffuser. Turtle it.
Should have backed away. And fortunately here for ENCE, they'll walk away as a 2-0 victor today. And that's our first series. Down and out. What? It's 8:05. It's 8:05. It's very, very quick matchup.
Time
here.
management from ENCE, right?
Yes.
Tips from Shate.
Trying to get you guys some wonderful matches. Now, we are going to get underway in a few moments after a break with our second series of the evening. To let you guys know, there is no Pro League next week. It's being put on a 1-week bye. So October 30th, October 31st, and November 2nd are going to be the Playday number 7. It's basically the second Playdays of playoffs for each of the regions. That whole week will be casted by Kickstar and Entero. Emzo and I, this is going to be our last cast of this season until the Brazil LAN Finals in November. But again, for those of you at home watching, we wish you a farewell. We'll see you in a couple minutes here with Entero and Kicks kicking off the second series. We'll see you in a bit, guys.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Playdate number 6 of the EU region. My name is Parker Interrobang Mackay, and I am joined by Michael Kickstar Stockley. And we just saw ENCE do battle against Millennium in what was a pretty quick matchup between the two teams.
Oh yeah, really one-sided, and a nice clutch by Kanto at the end there to lock it out too. That was beautiful, I have to say. But this is going to be another match, and an equally interesting one, I would say, Penta versus Snookin. Now, it's definitely a slanted one, but there is some potential for upset. Snookin has been playing better this season than I think we've seen them play in the past. Obviously, that's going to be a great incentive for this match.
Yeah, and I mean, Penta's going to be coming in with a lot of expectations, a lot of weight on their shoulders, and something that's going to be brought up as we go through the interview with them as well, and how dominant Penta has looked this entire year going up against a team that managed to do well and now earn their chance to topple the Giants, so to speak. So it's going to be a contest of wills, I think, and for the viewer, hopefully not as quick of an affair as we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. You know, there were some actually good decisive rounds. The ones that Millennium managed to pull away were pretty decisive.
Right.
But it was what it was. We do have some rosters to show you guys, though. Let's start with the Snookin' Nose roster before we get on to the Penta interview and roster later on. There's no Snookin' Nose interview, so we'll just start it off there. And here you have them. Meepy, Secretly Lackey, Snookin, and Renewals. Of course, Snookin on Snookin' Nose. You kind of have to have him there. Overall, it's been a pretty even split between all of these players on Snookin' Nose. Those are the sort of team that no standout performances that really draw the crowd or anything like that, but the whole team does manage to contribute, and that's the important thing when it really comes down to it. It's going to be the thing that they're going to try to utilize in this matchup to give them the edge against Penta.
And the one thing, too, about Snookin' Nose, and we saw this most particularly on Coastline, was they go a little outside of your typical strats, which is great. And there were some things that we saw that you specifically said you think we're going to see in the Pro League moving forward, and I expect up against a team like Penta, they're going to have some of those pocket strats ready to pull out.
Yeah, and we'll see about that moving forward. Now, all that said, we do have an interview lined up with the great Fabian and Interrobang, which we should be jumping to in just a second.
Yeah, and Fabian is no stranger to answering these kind of questions. I mean, how many interviews has Penta had to go through?
Right.
And not just here, but also at LAN. And
one of the most vetted teams out there, certainly in the entire Pro League. I mean, we saw them manage to pull away not only 2 seasons in a row this year, but also, granted, with a very different roster.
Right.
They managed to win the very first season of Pro League ever. All that aside, though, let's get into the interview.
So we'll bring in Fabian, the IGL/captain of Penta, and of course, all 5 of them really could do this interview too. But of course, it's always nice to be able to speak to Fabian. It's a good voice, and a new Twitch partner as well.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
He does have the check mark next to his name. So we'll pull it up now here for everybody to see. We'll wait for Fabian. Hi, Fabian. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine.
That's great to hear. A big matchup, and just a couple questions for you before we get into the chaos that is surely going to ensue. Now, over the last season, and I guess you could say most of Pro League 2, Penta has been inarguably one of the most dominant and successful teams and organizations in the entire scene. Now, after winning Year 2 Season 1, and then Year 2 Season 2 just a couple months ago, does your team undertake any preparation or any changes in strategies or the way that you execute those? Obviously, don't go into too much detail, and if so, what do you focus on the most, and how do you determine what needs to change?
Like pre-preparation you have to do for every team. That's what probably wins us most of the games, that we know exactly what the moves that the opponent are going to do. So if I see that they make step A, let's say that they take one room in any specific map, I know what step they're going to do next. And then I can position my players the way I want them to counter just that sort of attack. So it's a lot of preparing what the opponents do and not really so much preparing what we do, because if they can't see what we do in a pattern, then they can't read us.
And that's a smart move, and it's something that one of the things that people like to talk about Penta is how prepared they are to not just counter ban maps, but also counter strat every step of the way. And that actually leads into one of my next questions, which is that you've had a very consistent roster. You know, we talk about the shuffles in NA and Latin America. Penta has been largely immune from that. You've had good strategies and you've had smart coaching. Out of all of those things, what do you think it is that really, truly prepares your team the best and sets you apart in order to be as consistent as you have for the past couple seasons?
I just think it's synergy between the team players. Sure, we haven't had any roster changes, but I don't think that changing players is maybe the best idea. Just instead, maybe try to fix the problem and help them through what they are going through if they're having a bad position or if they're having a bad spot that they can't really perform in. Just try to help them through that instead. And when you come out on the other side, that player is going to have more trust for the team, as well as the team is going to have more trust for him. And then having good leadership in, well, double coaches now, one specified on strategical parts and one specified on mental parts, well, that just does a lot of work for us.
And having strong leadership there and somebody who's not really associated with the team as well to be able to try to sort out those issues between the 5 players, I'm sure is a boon. Now, the one question that I think a lot of people probably have on their minds is if you are successful and go to LAN and you win, that means that you've won every single season this year. What's next for Penta if you are able to claim this entire year?
Well, I don't want to go that far yet. I want to win this game that comes up today. That's pretty much the goal. Win every game as it comes.
Perfect. And that's a good attitude. And before we bid you adieu, do you have anything to say to your fans, the community as a whole, your team, and your opponents?
I just hope that they get a game to enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pretty good answers all around the board. Very diplomatic, which I like too. And it's one of those things where it's like when you are a team that is as prepared as they are, obviously you're not going to give away state secrets.
Yeah.
But there's little things, and I think it goes a long way.
You know, on the note of not giving away state secrets, let's take a look at their roster first. Fabian, Pengu, KS, Goga, and Junis. They have been, I think, throughout the Pro League history, one of the most open teams with the way they conduct themselves. And it's because while you can read into what Penta does, you can't necessarily directly counter it in any discernible way because, oh, whoa, this next match, they're completely different. Right. And that is really their most compelling quality, I think, in this Pro League.
A lot of people will say, and it's something that we have said as well, is that they can play you and beat you on every single map. So it's very difficult for you to be able to outban them.
Yeah.
And even if you do win a couple maps that you're strongest on, they can counter-strat you knowing your footage and the way that you play. As he touched upon, if I see a player do this, I know what they're going to do next.
Absolutely. And as you can see here from this roster, just from the KDs, Penta, another team similar to Snook and Nose that relies a tremendous amount, as you heard from Fabian, on team play and synergy. Working together is one of their great caveats. Now, no big surprises on the roster. Again, hasn't seen a lot of change throughout this year, or any change for that matter. Let's take a look now at the actual ban phase. See what maps we're going to be having these two teams go up against each other on. Now, you touched on it a little bit there. Snook and Nose is going to be the ones really in the spotlight for this ban phase, given that Penta, throughout history, has always touted the fact that they are comfortable on any one of the 9 maps you see before you in the map pool. So what Snook and bans is really the most crucial thing. Starting with a Consulate, that does not strike me as a surprise at all. Penta historically very, very happy on Consulate.
One of their best maps.
Absolutely.
Period. Dominating performances, and it's a team that, yes, they can beat you across the board, but Consulate is like one of the pinnacle of Penta's strategy, and of course, boom, first ban.
Yeah, we're talking about Pengu on Windows with Blackbeard, end of story. I mean, his performance alone is an argument just to ban out that Consulate.
Right.
That aside, though, even if he dies on his window, you got just teammates everywhere in the right positions to be able to get those refrags. All the bans have been happening at once, though, as we would talk about that. Coastline coming out from Penta, obviously wanting to avoid the abnormal.
Right.
Skyscraper as well, Cafe as a final. I gotta imagine a lot of those are just preference picks from Penta, or maybe you could read into those bans a little bit more. Maybe they're trying to cover up some things. I remember at the last finals, they put in a clubhouse into their map pool, which we are seeing played here yet again. Bank, Clubhouse, Oregon going to be our 3 maps. Yeah, last time we saw them play Clubhouse in the finals, and that was very clearly a map they had practiced a significant amount with the intention of making it into the finals because it was completely out of the meta at the time. So Penta managed to get Clubhouse through here again. Either A, Snook and Nose wants that, or B, they lost the ban phase.
Against a team that has the flexibility that Penta has, it's very difficult to beat them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main story moving forward. I think that there were some very good bans on behalf of Snook and Nose.
So they wanted it.
They'll pick Clubhouse first. You can see a very low pick rate there. Haven't played it yet. So I think, for me, do you pick this because you assume Penta is weak on it? Do you pick it because you think you're strong on it? It surely has to be the latter. So Snook and Nose is either, two things happen. Either one, they got their clocks clean on the ban phase and they're thinking, well, Clubhouse is probably the best option we have left. Or two, they've prepared themselves and they're ready to do battle on this matchup. And yeah, there's teams that will specifically avoid playing maps until they know that they need to be able to beat a team, and they'll pull it out, and there will be no footage on that team playing that matchup, and you have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, I think that Snookin. Now here's the thing. Snookin knows clearly are trying to counter-strike Penta's Clubhouse play, but the big problem with that is, again, their play on each map tends to change throughout the months. They tend to go back and revamp. We've seen them revamp their strategy on maps without any prompt at all for seemingly no reason, just almost arbitrarily. And that's a trait that not a lot of teams really share in the Pro League. So if Snookin Nose is counting on using the counter strategy based on footage from VODs that are long past, like, for example, the last season's finals, then I think that's going to work against them. Banka to be the pick from Penta, which means Oregon will be our decider.
And one thing, too, is that with a team like Penta that now has two coaches that are specifically tasked with dealing with different areas in the way that the team plays, and essentially with the team too, because you know how dedicated all 5 of those members are.
Yeah.
It's the type of organization that is, even when you win, let's say Penta blows through and doesn't lose a single map, a single round, they're still going to look at it and say there are things we could have done better. And that's a difference maker for some of these teams, because even in victory, you can still be disappointed with how you got to that point and know that maybe circumstances in the future aren't going to be able to afford you that same leniency, and you need to fix things.
You know, there's a lot of niceties and just extra kind of things in your favor as a team that comes with having a coach, let alone 2 coaches. And one of them is an impartial third party. Now, obviously, he's still part of the team, so you can't really call him necessarily a third party, but in a lot of cases, since it tends to be in a scrim or a dry run, arguments become very personal, very fast. Having that coach, he really is. Yeah, he becomes the third party, whether or not, regardless of his association.
Right.
And he's able to give you some serious, meaningful critique that you can actually listen to, because it's not like, oh, you did this wrong, oh, you did that wrong. Instead of, you know, it goes both ways. It's a nice two-way street to have. So teams that don't have coaches in this current meta, unfortunately, are finding themselves at a deficit, and teams that are having 2, I mean, that's all the better, right?
Right, and for me, let's take a look at Snook and Nose for a second as well, because we focused a lot on Penta, and of course this is a storied team that has no shortage of opportunities for us to talk about them. There's certainly nothing that we can't focus on. I think we could probably spend a good solid 20 minutes looking at each of a couple teams here that are known quantities. But for Snook and Nose, you have a team that is still trying to find an organization, still trying to prove itself, still trying to be able to prove that it can compete at that level. And you're going up against the juggernauts here. That's motivation in and of itself. Not to mention the fact that you're able to storm back, and Snook and Nose looked a little bit shy against Supremacy last week, but then they were able to find that 5th gear and really lift up their game. And I'm interested to know, with the Clubhouse pick and then going to Bank after that, surely they have spent the last week preparing in every single facet for this matchup. And when you're a team like Penta, yes, you can change your strategies around. But there are certain play styles in each of the actual characters on the map and each of the players on the team that you know how to deal with, and that should be something that they've looked at and hopefully have an answer for.
Well, yeah, no, I think you're right. You're kind of touching on something there. One thing that really strikes me from Snook and Nose, as we load into the map again, it's going to be Clubhouse as our first map here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at the community vote right before we jump on in. 14% in favor of Snook and Nose, 86% in favor of Penta. I don't think that caught anyone off guard. But yeah, what you were talking about, I think just compelling qualities of Snook and Nose, since we've talked a lot about the Penta ones, is those really abnormal angles on seemingly completely fully defined engagements, like just areas. So like we're going on a skyscraper, we're going on a clubhouse, or we're going on to coastline. Whatever map Snook and Nose finds themselves on, they take a normal engagement and they interpret it their own way, finding new angles through unreinforced walls that catch a lot of teams off guard. Now, the thing is, they're going to be going up against the adaptation that is Penta, but that might be all they really need to get enough rounds on the board to establish some amount of a lead.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
And I mean,
attackers.
Penta is not unbeatable. They did drop a map in their first matchup in their very first week in Group B, so it's not unheard of, and they did look a little vulnerable, which will happen. And that's part of why I asked that question to Fabian, which was, what's next for Penta? At some point, you will just not be the unbeatable team permanently atop the mountain. Other teams will catch up, your team will start to experience some fatigue, and it'll be very easy for teams that are hungry and are dedicated to be able to close that gap, and we've seen that in North America. A lot of people thought Rogue was going to go to LAN. They did not. A lot of people thought that Elevate was going to go to LAN. They did not. Latin America, BRK not going to LAN as well. Is EU going to be the only region to send the exact same teams back to LAN if Penta wins, with ENCE going too? So, and this is something where I think if there's a team that is well equipped to do it, it's going to be Snook and Nose, and they will start their assault on Clubhouse here on round number 1.
You know, we've seen the downfalls of a lot of dynasties throughout Rainbow Six history. Of course, Rogue is a big one as of most recent. As this engagement comes out, Junis lighting up secretly through the garage that had been opened by, well, secretly. A little bit of backfire there from Snook and Nose, but yes, let's talk about the downfalls of dynasties. Wow, KS taking out Renewals as he pushes in through stock. This is a very, by the way, we need to touch on this. This is a very aggressive hold from Penta. And we were talking earlier about weird angles, and it seems like Penta are the ones trying to give us that this time around. Secretly, though, going to get the refrag onto Chaos. That's very important. While this roam game has been arguably very successful in favor of Penta, it has been a back and forth regardless.
And you've seen already a good trade, a good start for Snook and Nose to be able to get an early preliminary frag off, and to lose your Mira and your Chaos, of course, it's always almost a sigh of relief when you can take down one of those C4 operators as well, especially early on before they're really able to use it. Because, I mean, hey, let's just look at this week alone. How many times a NitroCell has been able to completely halt a play?
I think KS actually may have been bringing a shield to the fray because he was playing behind that shield at the front door.
Oh, good point.
Not sure if it was his. Could have been the Castle's, of course, but it's a safe bet, right? And yeah, no, just the upstairs play to me was extremely interesting. As it's Penta doing that. Meepy going to be very aggressively pushing in through the tunnel, going to take out Pengu. No refrag coming from the deep armory players as secretly gets another. Fabian, though, with a double kill on the Snook and Meepy. He's doing some good work from the back of the bomb site. It's all down to Eunice now in a 1-on-2. Secretly on 1 HP. Going to be holding the angle and will hit the shot secretly with a tremendous round. Starting the round off really bad, obviously taking a lot of shots from Eunice inside of the garage, but managing to still get that double kill in the end. Very nice attack there, and a good start for Snook and Nose, successfully attacking the basement of Clubhouse. That has got to be a lot of morale going in your favor now.
Yeah, and secretly, too, let's speak about him just for a moment. He was integral to their play against Supremacy last week. The man carried a couple rounds that I can remember quite vividly, that without those buck plays, especially one of the 4Ks on Coastline against Supremacy, that I don't really know if it would have given the confidence in his team. And for Penta there, they had the roam upstairs. They had one off-site. Clubhouse is a map that you can safely fit all 5 of your defenders on site safely without worrying about the potential for somebody to get caught off on a roam. Is that something that you think hurt Penta with the fact that they had 2 playing above in both the Mira and the Vandal?
So I expect odd things from Penta. I don't necessarily expect a top floor Clubhouse roam when we're defending the basement from Penta. We've talked about this before in the past. Now, it has been pretty far in the past considering how often Clubhouse is played, which is not very. But every time we see an upstairs roam from any team, it almost entirely is unsuccessful. We've talked about how the basement is a site that you have to have all 5 of your defenders downstairs throughout, unless you're going for a late roam game coming from the garage. Now, in scrims, sometimes that can be different, but in the Pro League, it's usually a pretty clear-cut thing. In this instance, while Penta's roam game wasn't unsuccessful, it wasn't really triumphant. It was kind of just an even trade. And ultimately, when it came down to that site push, there wasn't enough manpower in place from Penta to be able to get the refrags to delay that push in any significant, meaningful way. The collapse coming in from blue and tunnel, which is a very old strat, but it worked out well for S-Nose here. The collapse coming in was just too much for the remaining Penta defenders to stop. So I think, yeah, I think that upstairs roam really didn't work for them.
You can see Snookin' Nose is not going to be making any mistakes this time around, playing very safely, sheltered in the basement, as you touched upon. And that's the sort of conservative style, typical defense that you're going to rely upon, because when you're going up against a team like this, you need to try and make sure that you are minimizing the mistakes you make and the risks that you take as well. Now, of course, the same applies for Penta, and that's why I don't necessarily agree that it was a smart idea. But what they've done is they've actually blown the entire top out over top of the reinforcement, so it's very easy for them to be able to lob that C4 through and stop anybody at the bottom of those stairs.
That is one of the hardest angles to hit with not only a nade, but a C4. That's even harder. If Snookin' can hit this, it has to be pre-aligned. What a nice C4 toss. Nobody there to catch it, though, unfortunately, from Penta.
Not even a soul within a couple feet of that C4, so good alignment. You can see that Snookin' himself had lined it up perfectly, constantly making sure that his reticle was aligned on that bar.
It's because Snookin' knows.
You see a smoke will go down. First kill goes to Pengu as he charges in and takes out secretly. So at least one of those toxic babes were able to go out, but that'll be it for the smoke. As you can see now, Fabian looking to push inside a church as Pengu flashes from above. And they'll both drop down inside of Motorcycle, or Moto rather. And Renewals is ready. He's going to get a frag on Nagoga, but immediately Pengu will trade him back. And that is Renewals down in a second from Penga onto Snookin'. Penta now in really good position, though. Lackey will get a kill onto Fabian, and then there's only 2 left for the defense. There was only 2. He's going to go for another, but no. KS is able to get it, and Eunice getting the final kill. Penta looking back to form, and it is all tied up. 1-1.
Good attack round there from Penta. They didn't need the advantageous position of dealing with let's say a suffering defense force with them losing the roamers upstairs. That's not really necessary for Penta. It was a pretty clear-cut attack strategy. One of the more recent ones that have been developed as it's a simple collapse coming in from the blue and Moto, not putting a huge emphasis on the armory. I like their take on that. It's completely contrary to the Snookin' Nose attack, which was coming in from the construction tunnel and blue. So I like the pincer there. Unfortunately for Snookin' Nose, the use of the mirror window wasn't really all that. It wasn't that prevalent, and we've talked about this in the past. Mira, while yes, she is an operator that is in kind of arguably 100% necessary these days, she doesn't find a lot of use on this map anywhere.
And especially not on the site that we are on right now, which is why I would assume that Penta is not running one.
Right.
But Elysian is one of those operators that we've said you can get some sufficient usage out of, depending on the site itself. A good way to deploy your goo mines is stack them up in heavily traversed areas, especially choke points that you know are going to be leading the site. Now, for you, if a strip take happens, they can blow that entire wall open, move in through the pool table itself. If you don't have somebody playing up top, of course, in weight room, then it's very difficult for you to be able to repel that. Where are they going to be getting the most out of Elysian on this site?
I would say you're going to get the most out of Elysian on the other end from a strip take. So you could argue for putting it, and you can see here, Fabian all the way over by the garage. I would say you're going to get the most out of the Elysian when he's on the other end of that strip attack, so defending the flank as it were. instead of trying to stack all of his traps over, like for example, on this strip hallway, as you can see here, it becomes more a case in this situation of just winning via engagement than using Legion Trap to stall, because the honest truth is that as soon as that wall's open, as you can see, Penta's going to fall off. If a team were to fall off, a goo trap's not going to help a whole lot here. It comes down to straight fights. And having Legion as an operator, he's able to a lot easier by himself hold up an entire attack strategy, at least delay for a rotation. So the strategy from Penta there was very clear, very established. A nice engagement here coming out. Secretly gonna put himself in the lead though, eliminating Junis, and that's the second, or excuse me, Eunice, and that's the second time that Secretly has won that fight.
Both times Penta playing very aggressive. Eunice just pushed up right there. Didn't even wait for the buck of Secretly to get inside of that second floor before peeking him. And I like that he's in the iron sights, but in that case, I
mean, he usually puts in good work with it.
Usually puts in good work. Now you've lost your bandit, not detrimental. It does appear that a strip take is in the cards for the next 10 to 15 seconds as the rest of the team lines up. And as you can see, Penta is now pushed quite far back. And you don't have anybody playing up in weight room either, as you saw Secretly was able to take control of that second floor after dislodging the bandit of Eunice on the stairs.
Snookin knows just going to be looking for any possible opportunities of engagement here. Obviously, Penta going to try and avoid any of those. You can see Goga and Fabian just out of sight here from Renewals. Goga going to get a kill onto Secretly as he pushes his way, I believe, down the stairwell. No, it was straight up through the floor. Good fight there. Secretly, unfortunately, losing that two-way engagement. Snookin going to get another kill onto KS. And it's looking better for S-Nose as they push their way into the pool table. They actually don't have Diffuser in a position to get planted. Maybe going to get lit up from those gas canisters. But it is a 2-on-4. 16 seconds. Meepy going to get a frag onto Pengu. And another one onto Goga. Unfortunately, Meepy not falling to the gas canister is going to result in him being able to crawl his way over into a great position to lock up that round.
And they were not prepared for the strip take itself, and you can see that with how they were lined up. I'm assuming they were expecting a bar push, or sorry, a stock push rather, and there just wasn't really much there to be able to deal with it, especially when you lost your bandit. Yes, they were able to get Secretly before he could do any damage from above. Of course, if you have a buck sitting in weight room, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to retake that pool table spot just by a strip, but they were able to get that kill. But then everything after that, and especially the thing that really confuses me, there was a Valkyrie in play.
Yeah.
You saw the Ash of Snookin Nose was able to just come right in and walk up to that dartboard and get down. And yes, the Capcan is odd, but just finishing up my thought, there was nobody operating a Valcam in that area unless it had been taken out to be able to see that they'd pushed up. Of course, the smoke went out from Penta, but it was in a completely different direction than where it needed to go.
I think I saw those Valkyrie cams getting a lot eliminated pretty early on. I think they were using them in a more advanced positions, like for example by the strip. So I mean, they could have been expecting a stock take, but the way it looked, I mean, they heard the thermite coming into the strip wall. They fell off of strip intentionally. My opinion is that, whoa, Snookin, what happened, man? Snookin taking a lot of damage from something. Not sure what. Maybe a Twitch drone? Whatever the case be, Snookin pretty lit up already early in this round. That's bad. Yeah. Either way, yeah, so that last round, it looked to me just like the argument could be made for Penta spending a little bit more time lingering inside of Strip Club. They fell off that strip hold as soon as Eunice lost that bandit trick on the strip wall itself, the thermite getting that open. Most teams won't do that. Usually you'll see one or two people linger, try to delay a little bit longer, win some fights, but no, Penta was just like, yeah, we're going to fall all the way back. Now, here you can see from S-Nose, very aggressive roam hold, similar to what we saw from Penta.
And the thing, too, that I'm a bit confused by is Penta did not need to go to bar, a site that most, I would say probably every pro player would say is much less desirable than going downstairs into Arsenal/Armory and Church. And Penta was not successful in their first defense. They're doing a lot better on attack, though. Both rounds, they have been able to get the first frag on attack, and Goga is going to keep that up by dropping Renewals, and that's just your Jaeger down. So a roamer, but still an opportunity to put your team up. Snookin, the roaming Capcan above in weight room, I'm a bit perplexed by how they are working a Capcan into this strategy.
I would say I'm cautiously optimistic.
I would say so too. I mean, who expects a Capcan upstairs in weight room when you're attacking on the basement?
But here comes that Pengu drone, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why you cannot roam on a basement hold of Clubhouse. It's too easy for the attackers to drone every single corner, and as a result, you're going to see Eunice take out Snookin with a very simple fight up the stairs. Now a 3-on-5 with still plenty of time to attack onto these remaining defenders.
And you've lost 2 off-site now, so Snookin knows doing what Penta did in their very first defense, which was take a couple operators and make sure that they're not nestled in. You're going to see that the first kill is going to go to Secretly for Snookin knows onto Eunice. KS is going to even it out by taking down Secretly, so we are still at a 4v2. They hold the same numbers advantage right now. Penta over Snookin knows. 4v2. You can see maybe we'll pre-fire the corner where the diffuser being held by Goga is going to push in. Lots of destruction there inside a church while Goga drones away. Meepy will have to get very brazen and push out, but the F2 of Pengu says no thank you, leaves just 1, and Fabian cleans up Lackey, and the attacking teams so far, flawless.
An excellent execution there, as you can see. I mean, it really comes down to, again, that roam game. What is that roam game, ladies and gentlemen? I understand that Clubhouse is pretty far outside of the meta right now. It's not seeing a lot of play. That's respectable. But why are we still doing this? I mean, history tells a story, guys. You can't roam on the basement of Clubhouse, and if you do, you got to have something ingenious up your sleeve. I mean, I've seen some pretty crazy things on that roam. For example, Valkyrie with a shotgun, back when her shotgun was ridiculous, hiding inside of the main bar cupboards, waiting for her opportunity, being overlooked. I've seen that work, but playing a Kapkan upstairs in gym, waiting patiently and hoping nobody's going to drone you, no. No, you're going to get droned, and your roam will be for naught. And I mean, it wasn't just him, too. We did see somebody die over by the main bar, trying to get an aggressive roam, just waiting for a push. This is the roam game that Penta did also on their first basement hold. And it's just it's a big question. It's why. Both teams putting themselves at an early deficit on defense of the basement. It is really confusing.
And it's surprising because usually teams will win basement and then lose the subsequent defense on one of the other sites. No defensive hold has been successful thus far. Now, for those that are tuning in that are confused by a Doc emerging, doesn't see a lot of play, this is one of the sites in the game where Doc actually has the most play. Why? You can sit him at the back of Arsenal, and wow, Eunice getting a spawn peek onto Secretly, and you've lost your buck. And look at the splayed out corpse there by the forklift just outside of stock. That is going to be a huge issue because you cannot put pressure on the kitchen nor the top of the stairs anymore. And I mean, there's no mirrors to really worry about, but if you're Penta, you gotta be exhaling right now.
Absolutely. Not only that pressure from above, but even more so, Secretly, probably one of the top performers for Snookin knows so far throughout this map. Can we get the scoreboard real quick, Marcy? Appreciate it. There you can see Secretly at the top, 5 kills. And with only 4 rounds played, that's pretty impressive.
And we also said the same thing last week against Supremacy, is that Secretly is top fragging, but not as an entry, which is nice. He's playing that supporting role, but is still able to clean up the kills too. Now, just touching briefly on Doc, one of the last remaining defensive operators with an ACOG. It's not unusual to see him hold up the back of Arsenal by those crates, getting that long line of sight all the way to the bottom of the stairs. Obviously, very effective when you have an ACOG versus the ACOGs of your attackers. A lot harder to do, of course, if you have a Reflex, a Hollow, a Red Dot, what have you. Now, Snookin knows down 1. They will start to attack Kitchen, and they'll have to use the Ash Charges to do Buck's job.
It's taken him a bit of time, though, to establish this control, and while they are getting the job done, they aren't going to find anything underneath the kitchen. Most of the defenders playing from far back inside of Armory or even Blue. Not a lot of pressure being put into that west side Armory hold. And as a result, S-No is not going to be able to crawl themselves out of this deficit, and as time ticks away, they're going to need to start applying pressure directly onto an unfaltered, unwavering, simple line in the sand for Penta.
And it's unusual as well to see a dirt tunnel push. I've noticed that they've been defending, or Snookin knows rather has been reinforcing it. It doesn't get a lot of play. You don't see a lot of garage pushes, you don't see a lot of dirt tunnel pushes. You've already commented on this, but I just want to reinforce it. And now Pengu, who is supposed to be watching that main hallway, is going to get torn apart by Lackey from the hatch up top. Lackey will drop conveniently right onto a goo trap and get blown apart as KS and Fabian get two. Goga and Eunice go down. Eunice getting a trade before he can be finished off, and now Snookin of Snookin knows last one left. Fabian with the pistol is able to finish him off, and Penta takes their very first lead and the first successful defensive hold so far.
Yeah, and what a good one there. So what was it that allowed Penta to walk away with the first defense win of the map? It was a simple adaptation. Snookin knows using the same exact attack strategy they used on the first time they went down into the basement. This time, though, Penta not roaming upstairs, more importantly, ready to receive that perfectly timed pincer between blue and construction tunnel and countering it beautifully. And that's all that it really is. I mean, it was just the guns right pointed in the correct positions at the correct times, and that's all she wrote for Penta.
They realized the Mira wasn't all that useful. They were able to go with the Doc there. Look at how even these scoreboards are right now. The score is, of course, 3-2 in favor of Penta, but take a look at every single contribution from every member of those teams. That's 10 players all pulling their weight and doing their job very well. It's nice to see. You don't have any underperformers at the moment. And really all it's going to take is if one team happens to get a certain member who catches fire, I think that could be it and swing it in favor of either of these teams at the moment. Of course, a very even contest, and really it's anybody's game.
I mean, we talked about the counteracting of the strategy there last round for Penta and against Snookin Nose on their defense. But it was also, like you were just saying, secretly getting caught off guard outside. That alleviated so much pressure. It also wasted a lot of time as it forced Snookin Nose to be a lot more cautious. So just as you were saying, one specific player catching fire when he really shouldn't is going to result in a lot of these rounds being won or lost, depending. Now, Penta, their turn to attack the basement. Last time they came here, they went for a straight Moto blue take, and it worked out great for them. Are they going to be making significant changes this round, or are they going to make the same mistake that Snookin Nose made on their last attack and just go for same old, same old?
Snookin Nose is playing it safe at the moment by not having that roaming captain, not having that roaming bandit. It looks like they understand exactly what's going on. And of course, this is their third defense, and they're doing exactly what they're expecting of. A wasted C4 onto the floor of the kitchen won't get much. You can see Eunice was smart to climb on top of that counter and is now back and unscathed. Eunice gets first kill onto Meepy. So after that Nitro Cell went down, the Hibana was getting the last laugh by eliminating the Pulse and giving Penta an ability to come back.
Pulse is so incredibly important in that exact position. Gives you so much information to pull from as a defensive team, and not having him anymore, that's going to hurt.
And just even losing a Pulse before the end of a round, of course, when it's 30 seconds left and you have a Pulse and you know exactly where that push is coming from. One of the operators that I guess thrives the most in the dying minutes. Now look at that. Beautiful read by Penta there. That's the exact same play that Snookin Nose did last time, and they are able to push back for the second time, and a lot of gunfire being exchanged between that open Mira window as Snookin is going to try to get a kill and be pressured from Pengu, who takes a lot of damage and is not able to flush the Mira out as well, just with over a minute to go. Eunice is going to get another, that's his second on the round as Snookin goes down. And we're going to see another smoke. That's going to leave Secretly with just one as we hit the 60-second mark in round number 6. Pengu waits by the barbed wire. Knows where the Jaeger is holed up. This is the same spot that Renewals played at last time. Lackey was able to get some pretty significant frags from the same position, and he'll do so again. Fabian goes down. So that's the first kill for Snookin Nose. Onto the Ella, and if any character, or any operator rather, is going to get that, it's going to be your Ella. Renewals will now try to move into sight, give some covering fire to Lackey, as it's going to be a hatch drop from Penta, and Lackey gets another, this time onto Eunice. That'll quiet the Hibana down. Another drop for Goga and Lackey, and Secretly with 2 big kills onto Goga and Pengu. A 3v1, and KS is able to make it a 2v1. So it's the Buck left. He sees Renewals can't win that gunfight. The Jaeger draws the final blood, and we're all tied up, 3-3.
Great defense there from Snookin Nose, but I gotta hand it a little bit to Penta. Seemingly... Okay, so what they did there is they changed their attack strategy, just as I was saying they probably should have, but it was a very simple attack strategy they switched to. Let's all drop down kitchen drop. I'm not sure that's the right call, especially after in the early round getting the first 2 kills. Do we really want to bottleneck ourselves? Obviously, in this instance, hindsight's 20/20, and it did not work out for Penta. maybe just sticking with their normal push coming in from the Moto and the Blue would have helped them out a little bit more there in that situation. But alas, it is what it is. And like you said, that 3-3 scoreline, Snookin' Nose putting up one heck of a fight here on Clubhouse. Of course, this is their map pick, but in the past, Penta has been absolutely undaunted by any other team's attempts to counteract them on this specific map. And clearly, Snookin' Nose doing their homework.
And I'm kind of surprised. I would have liked to have heard the team comms at that point, because not only are you all dropping from the same hatch, you had 4 operators of Penta dropped from that hatch. 3 of them were unsuccessful at driving Lackey away from those boxes at the back of Arsenal. Finally, they got them, but it was too late. You put them at a 1v2, and KS just wasn't able to close out the round in a position that realistically Snookin' Nose should be winning. Why are they all dropping from the hatch? There was no Moto pressure. There wasn't any pressure from the stairs. Why, when you are up, as you said, at that advantage, do you put all your eggs in one basket? Because when they blow that basket up, you got no eggs left.
Well, I can tell you why I think they were doing that, what their thought process was likely. It's, oh, okay, guys, they're expecting us to do this attack because we did it before. Also, we've already got 2 kills from this attack. Oh, nice angle there from Fabian onto Secretly all the way outside. Great kill. That's the 2nd time that's happened to Secretly, who has been caught off guard all the way outside by Construction. Now, Lackey has pushed his way all the way into this strip hallway and is trying to pressure onto the roamers inside of Strip Club. Last time, Penta fell off really quickly. Eunice going to get a kill onto Renewals, pushing his way in through the main strip doorway. And now it's looking really great for Penta on this bar defense. Lackey playing the passive angle. You can see him not wanting to directly challenge, but as he gives himself away, the C4 is going to come out from Goga. It will damage, but not kill. The finish off, though, from Goga, and Eunice, meanwhile, taking out Snookin'. It's looking amazing for Penta. Could this be a perfect round? Meepy going to be the last attacking operator, challenging from the strip doorway. He doesn't know that he has the angle. KS just going to be waiting patiently. Meepy has tons of time to work with here, but he's got to deal with 5 whole Penta players. He's going to start to pressure from the kitchen. This is a good angle to challenge. No one from Penta ready to receive this. KS going to hear, though, and turn around. Just a fake out.
And that's
nope.
it. Pengu. I didn't want to interrupt you because Penta set us up in such a position where you had no idea what was going to happen next. And so you get put in the awkward position of playing in bar and stock. So what do? You decide, we'll bring the fight to you. And almost like Penta was playing offense on defense that round. And now we're in match point with Penta not allowing Snookin' Nose to get even an inch whatsoever. And I mean, I also got to give some commendation to Penta for running the rare Bandit C4 and making it work.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make it work, then why not? I didn't see it. Where did the Bandit C4 come out?
Bandit tossed the C4 at the Ash that was trying to push into Strip, blew a hole in the wall, and then was able to follow up the kill.
That was the Valkyrie from Goga, I believe.
Was it the Valkyrie?
Yeah, it was the Valkyrie.
Yeah,
I think the Bandit barbed wire was inside of the lock. It's whatever. Bandit C4Y, right?
I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong.
It's okay.
I apologize.
The big thing to take away from that round for me was the play inside of Strip Club so aggressively. The last time that Penta played inside a Strip Club, they fell back immediately. They did not want to. They did not want to play inside as soon as the wall got opened up. This time, Penta lingered and were successful, to say the least.
And given how attacker-sided this round has, or this matchup has been rather here on Clubhouse, you have Snookin' Nose playing an unfavorable site against a team that has done quite well on attack. They've only lost 1 time so far. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be as aggressive from Snookin' Nose there. And of course, we do see an Echo coming out, which is the first time we've seen an Echo, and the Yokai drone could be a very particular menace against the attackers in Penta, depending on how Snookin' Nose plays it out. Now, he's brought a deployable shield. All holed up and ready for the push, and it looks like they're going to try to take from stock and completely avoid Strip altogether.
Yeah, I think that's the right call from Penta here, as we've seen a lot of Strip focus from both teams on attack of this top floor. Now, it is going to be red pretty quickly from S-Nose, but that might not matter as KS gets to the early kill onto Secretly inside of that stockroom. Secretly has been one of the players to die the most in the early stage of these rounds, whether on attack or defense. Yes, an impact player, but as your smoke, with less than the half of the round gone already, that he really needs to stay alive. I mean, let's be honest.
And there's almost a direct correlation between how well Snook and Nose does and how long Secretly stays alive. It seems like almost every single time that he is alive, towards the end of the round, they win. And yes, you lose your smoke, you hit the halfway mark, you're on match point, you've lost that last second defender to close things off for you, but you still do have the Echo, which is great when you're running both of those operators. Of course, those are the two closers. You want them in the dying seconds of a round, similar to Pulse, but I think both are more effective. And 60 seconds left. Lackey hold up just beside Bar, inside of the main area in Clubhouse, and you see some late drone work being done as Penta begins its push on what could be the final round here to send us to map number 2 and hopefully put them one round closer, or one matchup closer rather, to going back to LAN. And if they want to go for the three-peat, they're going to need it. Now, you can see Diffuser being picked up by Goga. Some juggling there as they do look to push in. You can hear the fire from Lackey, but nothing right now.
Ooh, look at this angle for Judas that he's trying to open up on the Snookin.
Fabian's going to get a kill onto Lackey, and Eunice adds up with Meepy as well. Only 2 members of Snook and Nose left. Goga gets down, but a trade from Eunice and a Claymore from Fabian is able to finish things off, and Penta survives after looking a little bit shaky to take map number 1, 5-3.
I would say a pretty dominant turnaround there from Penta, and it all comes down to the reading into Snook and Nose strategies and completely adapting to them on the fly. I love that from Penta. They did actually over-adapt one round, as we saw on that basement attack when they went for that kitchen drop down. Really not the right call, but those things happen, and when you're walking away with a 5-3 scoreline regardless of that, it's got to scream dominance on a map like Clubhouse, which again was Snook and Nose's map pick. So, map number 2 then, it's going to be Bank. Bank, a very interesting map, similar to Clubhouse, finding itself pretty far outside of the meta in North America and Europe. Much more play in Latin America. However, it's been a mixed bag of results for every single team that finds themselves there. I don't know. It's really a hard map to call. I think that Snook and Nose is going to be favored here, despite it being Penta's map. Now, favored in the matchup, but favored in terms of how comfortable they are. It's a map that lends itself very well to unique angles, and that's what Snook and Nose are so famous for.
And also, if this season is any indication, Bank has been a matchup that is almost never even. It's almost always a blowout one way or another. Exactly. How many 5-0s have we seen in Latin America on Bank? What is it, 3 so far this season? 2 or 3 5-0s that we've seen on Bank in just Latin America alone, and that's crazy. Now, of course, they do play Bank an awful lot, as you touched upon.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more,
20% pick rate?
It's somewhere. It was one of the highest, if I remember correctly. Both it and Consulate have a very high pick rate in Latin America, and of course, you're going to find regional variations. But for both these teams, it's something where, yes, I think Snook and Nose is going to perform as well as they did. Of course, I think a couple things happened in that last matchup. Number one, Penta is a team that, while dominant, we've seen them take a couple rounds to get used to their opponents. In their first matchup against B-Genius, they did this. In their matchup 2 weeks ago, they did this, or last week, they did this as well. And it's one of those things where they need a couple rounds to be able to see exactly what's happening, which is what Fabian said and what you touched on as well. And when they do that, that train leaves the station and nobody stops it. It just keeps going, and so far they've looked really good. And I think against Snook and Nose, if Snook and Nose can come out as strongly as they did here in the map we just saw, be able to catch them off guard, if they can keep that ball rolling and not let Penta get any footing whatsoever, then they could possibly steal the map away.
Another thing that I think that Snook and Nose could do to put it in their advantage is, okay, so of course I'm going to reference the round where Penta made a bad call, went for the kitchen drop down, and it ended up costing them the round. They still had a very significant advantage in that round. Now, they actually, if you look at it from a tactical perspective, it wasn't necessarily a bad call. It was more like a 50-50 blunder, and they happened to be to come up on the loss there. And why did they come up on the loss? They came up on the loss because Snook and Nose played conservatively. They did not over-rotate. And that's a mistake that we see a lot of teams make when playing against Penta, trying to over-bolster a specific push, and Penta will just sidestep them. In this instance, Snook and Nose, well, that specific instance, Snook and Nose did not try to over-bolster. They just waited patiently for the push to come in, as you do on a clubhouse basement hold.
Right.
And if we see more of that, specifically on defense from Snook and Nose, I think that could be something that leads them to more success, at least, moving forward onto a map like Bank. Being ready for the unpredictable play that is Penta.
Now, one thing, too, that I'm going to ask you, we mentioned Pengu's ability on Blackbeard.
Yes.
We know how strong Penta's, anti-roam game is.
Yeah.
Clubhouse is one of the maps where we don't see a lot of roaming.
Good point.
That could be a reason why Snook and Nose picked it. Now we go to Bank, and we've seen Bank is one of those maps where you can put 2 off-site and then 1 aggressive site player. And speaking of Bank, we will load into match number 2. This is, of course, Penta's match, or Penta's pick, rather, in the match. And we'll go to Bank for map number 2 after Penta prevailed by a score of 5-3 on Clubhouse. Now, my question for you is there a chance that we see Snook and Nose play a bit more conservative on site to try and take away the benefit that Penta has by being good at hunting down the roamers?
That's a big question. Now, of course, on a map like Clubhouse, as you talked about, I mean, we saw the roam game exist. It was always to the detriment. It was for both teams, though. On a map like Clubhouse, the roam game is not really a deciding factor. On a map like Bank, arguably, it's the complete opposite. The roam game can be one of the most influential tools for a team to really to wield. So the question then becomes, will that counteraction of the roam game from Penta, that clear, be as efficient enough to deny Snook and Nose that tool? Will Snook and Nose invest in the tool, or are they going to play, like you said, on the site? The answer is, I hope that they invest in that. I hope they invest in the roam game, because they need something to push them away from Penta's grip. They really have to have something going in their favor, and a roam game is one of those big swinging objects that can sometimes be just that, the sort of thing that will allow you to push away from a team that has so far been playing pretty dominantly.
And it does look like they will establish themselves on that second floor. So the answer immediately is yes, they are going to roam to a certain extent.
But then you have KS playing Jackal. And you have that roam clear coming out from Penta. Again, like you talked about, one of the most vicious roam clears in the European, if not the entire Pro League. So will it work for them? Will it work against them? Is the really big question. And I have to say, if they can't make it work for them, as it seemingly is going to be the case here, Eunice getting the first kill of the round and the map onto secretly roaming upstairs in the CEO office, leaving Renewals all alone to challenge Pengu on the window, unsuccessfully, as he will be eliminated by Eunice pushing in. Good coordination there from Penta, and I guess we have our answer, ladies and gentlemen. The roaming tool for S-Nose will not be successfully utilized, at least here on this first round on the basement hold.
And it'll prompt Meepy to have to run for cover.
Oh,
and a little bit of parkour as Meepy and Snookin are able to even this out at 3 apiece as both Eunice and KS go. So those are both of your entries down for Penta, and a tight angle being held from Pengu.
Maybe I spoke too soon, and evening out of the man count here very quickly.
And Meepy's just going to keep running and wasting time, which is good because, once again, the site is in the basement. You can hear the first set of Candelas going off. Pengu's going to try to soften up the wall as Fabian moves in. Meepy has been able to get farther off site, and one of the very few times we're actually going to see somebody use it through soft cover. Meepy, a great shot on Nagoga, and now Fabian goes down to Lackey. So yes, they did a good job of picking off the roamers early, but their site hold, and this is something that I wanted to mention as well before the action started, the site holds of Snook and Nose have been marvelous so far. In every single match that we've watched, they are very, very good on clamping down on that site in the final minutes of a round, and it's no exception here as Pengu is the last man standing with 60 seconds in round 1.
So, absolutely a word uttered way too soon into the round, and Penta will put themselves in a, well, certainly predicament as Pengu goes for the drop. He's going to get hit by an Ela. Meepy going to finish things off, and I believe that was a 3K there for Meepy. Well done, sir. So yeah, Roam game working for Snook and Nose, contrary to what I was imagining there. I think what may have happened there for Penta is they got 2 kills on the roam game, and then they're like, oh, okay, well then we have the roam game eliminated, because it's very common to assume there's only 2 roamers, or maybe 3 at the most. You also know where Meepy is because you're chasing him. And then in quick succession, just death after death after death on those roam clears coming out from Penta, as I think they were just counting on things being a little bit more quiet. We didn't get to see the kill that happened elsewhere, but we got to see that castle kill. That was just nice gunplay. The one that happened elsewhere could have just been, oh, there's definitely not 4 roamers, right? Because who imagines 4 roamers in the first round? It's just an oddity, as is this, defense of the top 4, but we'll get to that later. So good job to Snook and Nose. They really needed the roam game to work in their favor, and they managed to force it out.
And they did so, I guess I would say, against all odds, and they have taken the lead for the first time. Again, they got the first round in map number 1, and they've done so again here. And yeah, for me, Penta, I think Eunice's hop over that stairwell was probably a little ill-advised. You know, you can't... If there had been some patience and you had just waited and let Meepy rotate and then clamp down on him somewhere else, I think you probably could have gotten away without losing your life instead of...
I wouldn't say hubris. I would say, like, just over-enthusiastic, maybe.
Hubris, I think, does apply, though. You might not want to... It might not be default, but I would say it was definitely overconfidence.
Yeah,
definitely. A bit of a touch of exuberance. So, but, I mean, and you can see Eunice there was only able to get... Eunice was only able to get 2 kills. We might get a Rijos here. We'll wait and see.
In a sec.
We'll wait and see if there is any agreement whatsoever.
Now, the admin will make a call there in just a moment in the chat. If there's no call made, then that is safe to say that we're not going to be having Rijos. We will be having Rijos, ladies and gentlemen. Pokeball not working, unfortunately. It happens, you know, things happen, and we'll be moving on. It's still going to be 1-0 in favor of Snook and Nose. And I don't think that round is going to count since it was so early into the round, but we'll find out, of course. The admins have final say on these things.
We don't make the shots.
Yes.
We don't call the shots. We're the messenger.
Well, we kind of call it shot. Like, in a way, we
literally call what's
the actual shots.
What's happening.
But not the
real shots.
Yeah, not the ones that matter.
Not the ones that matter.
The admin shots.
Yes. So.
But anyway,
we digress.
All that aside, whatever that was. It is going to be a top 4 defense from Penta, which is, I think, something we can talk about. That is a really abnormal site to hold. The reason it's abnormal to hold is because it is so easily counteracted by simply moving onto the garage, the building adjacent, and just using an ACOG to pick off people who are playing inside the bomb site. There's not a lot that you can do as a defender to counteract that. Now, the things you can do as a defender to counteract that is open up a lot of horizontal control, try to take stock or storage, hold both of those. Also, you can play vertically underneath, so as you would if you're defending a Tellers or an Archives. There's pretty much that entire thing is destructible, so you got a lot of control if you just look straight up. There are arguable options, but when it comes down to it, all of them leave themselves open to being countered very easily by either a roam clear or simply just sitting yourself on a building adjacent and shooting people as they move around in the bomb site. Castle's a good way to stop that, reinforcing the wall, and reinforcing every single window inside of reception is a big thing you need to do if you want to have any presence in that top floor.
And one thing that they weren't doing was Snook and Nose's push came entirely from back alley.
Yeah, that's big.
They all spawned back alley, which means that if you're going to go over and take parking garage as we load into bank again, Snook and Nose, of course, up 1-0, and Penta will be on defense for this round, the presumption being that they will once again be upstairs in CEO and Executive Lounge, which they are. And it looks to me like the same set of operators. Now, Snook and Nose was spawning in an area that really isn't helpful for that push. And especially now that they know exactly what's going to be happening, I'm very curious to see if there's some changes made as to how they're going to attack the site.
I'm going to bet you $10 that we're going to see one person at least spawn by that garage spawn and then put himself with an ACOG on the garage spawn. On the garage like itself and start to look for that long angle. But we'll see out in just a second. There were some technical issues, sorry by the way, just for the delay there, ladies and gentlemen, but No problemo. We should be getting underway here. Appreciate your patience.
Now, for this defense here, they don't have a castle, so that's one off the board. They do, however, have a mirror. You can see that the way they placed it, of course, they had one mirror inside of what appeared to be that closet, and then they had another that looked like it was positioned somewhere in and around the back of the bomb site A. I'm wondering if we're going to see something similar. There's going to be at least reinforcements going up inside of that meeting room, or the boardroom, rather, to put a mirror in.
5 seconds left.
And it looks like it might have happened again.
Did it happen again? Oh,
It apparently happened again.
something's going on with them Pokeballs, ladies and gentlemen.
So an impact grenade, we call them Pokeballs, an impact grenade apparently did not detonate effectively, and when that sort of thing happens, there's a technical issue.
Yeah, I
we
mean-
will rehost early on in a round.
Yeah, we'll see what the admin call is this time. Yeah, it's going to be another rehost, ladies and gentlemen. You can tell what's happening here. Well, you can't tell what exactly is happening with the Pokeball, but you can see what their plan is. They want to open up that, I believe it's the northmost A site wall facing towards square stairs or skylight stairs or whatever you want to call them.
Wall, whichever.
Yep, exactly. And if you open up that, it lends you a lot of rotation potential for you as an attacker. Plus, the only real way to cover it as from an angle is either from the balcony, from the back alley, or from the skylight above. And those are two positions that aren't like you can't stay there. You can't just linger as an attacker. So if defender finds an opportunity to peek out, it can sometimes help his team quite a lot. I like that idea from Penta. Those impact grenades, unfortunately, just not working. So hopefully they're going to work this time when we get this next rehost up, and we'll see in just a second. We're remaking the entire lobby this time just to be certain.
Yeah, and it's a bit of frustration, but these sorts of things happen.
Yep.
And now, I mean, you can't really do much about it. Even Fabian said that, I sprayed the wall to try to make sure that it would work. And
Yeah. I mean, you got to have fair competitive play. A lot of you guys might be wondering, oh, just an impact grenade, it's no big deal, right? It just means one rotation doesn't exist. In this instance, when we're talking about a top floor hold, a bank, that's such an abnormal thing. And very obviously, Penta is going to have each and every different little thing accounted for. So, yeah, that tiny little impact hole probably means quite a lot to the strategy.
Absolutely. And I'm very interested to see what outside of Fabian playing with those impact grenades as a Legion, where is he going to throw those goo traps? You got to assume probably the main doorway. I mean, you got to think from that boardroom, such the conference room, maybe the back stairs. But I mean, if Fabian stays alive till the end of the round, which he does quite well, it's going to be 7 traps available at his disposal to be able to try to choke areas off or at least slow down the attackers when they do decide to make a push in.
So the thing to note for me from that round, when we're talking about Legion traps and where they're going to be finding themselves, is that they are playing a very, very open attack or defense strategy on that top floor. My guess is a lot of those legions are going to go into the choke points that the defenders themselves are opening up with those impact holes. I think we'll probably see 1 or 2 at least on each impact hole. And then you have the doors that are adjacent to those holes, like the storage room doorway. That's going to have a couple. It'll just be on the choke points in all likelihood. And I think we've been seeing some good use out of Legion from Penta specifically. We've talked about this in the past. Legion's an operator that so often just, when played, is played poorly in the Pro League. And it's not to the fault of the players. I think Legion's the sort of operator you need to discuss as a team and say, okay, this is where we need these traps to go in order for them to be useful in this hold. It's the same thing as like Valkyrie cams to an extent. Valkyrie cams are, I would argue, infinitely more useful.
I was going to say the same, yes.
Yeah, but the placement of the Valkyrie cams is oftentimes very influential on the, well, are really the ultimate end-all be-all of a lot of defensive rounds. But Legion traps can be very influential if placed correctly, depending on where your teammates need them to be.
Right.
So the thought process going into those Legion traps is very apparent, and when we see a team just like, hey, let's bring Legion and throw them wherever, that's usually where he doesn't end up being all that useful.
Now, as the lobby does get created, we just wait for the players to file in, just probably another bout of seconds here. They've run a Doc on this site. Now, we do see Doc come out, not usually for his gadget, more so for the ACOG, because of the way that it works on the MP, and, he's able to usually get a couple kills in that. How are they going to set up a Doc to get the most usage and the most efficiency out of him, or the most effectiveness out of him, rather, on that second floor with the rotation holes that we saw them trying to do? Is it one of those things where you potentially use the dock to look all the way down into the main lobby of the bank and risk getting picked off on top of parking garage? Or how do you employ a dock the best way in that situation?
Well, the odds are they're going to be using the hammer anvil strategy on stock, which if you're not sure what stock is, it's the little room that's got the 2 big windows that face it from the balcony from the back alley spawn.
A lot of people will call it like trading room as well.
Trading room.
Stock. It's called
it's
stock.
stock. Pro players generally call it stock because it's the stock trading room.
Yes.
And that's just very short. So from stock, if you're playing in there, you have a player like an Ela, for example, playing like inside of stock behind the the little cubicle half wall, as we can call them, I guess. And if any of the vaults come in through the window, it'll obviously detonate an Ela, but you also have the backup of someone playing inside of storage with the angle through the doorway and a hole in the wall that person can then kill pretty safely anyone who vaults in through the window as an attacker.
Right.
So if you're playing that strategy, I would say the dock is probably going to be the guy inside of storage or just playing in the stock hallway for the same angle. And the reason is he can then also pick up the defender inside of stock if he should be down, for example, a nade that is thrown by the attacker. So it's a very versatile position to play. Also, you can challenge the garage angle if someone's trying to fight you all the way from the garage spawn. It's a really good position to have in your favor. So sorry about the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We're having some technical difficulties. We'll be getting this up and going as soon as possible.
We're just waiting for the lobby to get up. There's one technical issue that can happen with the lobby is that if you try to create too many custom lobbies in a row, it will time you out essentially to try to prevent people from spamming the creation of games and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're dealing with right now. We had too many rehosts in a row, and we went for
too short of a time.
Too short of a time.
Too short of a time.
And we also had we went for like a full game restart. So all that aside, though, I think we're going to be going for a break in just a bit, since we will be waiting for a while in order for us to be able to get that custom game back up and going. But yes, an interesting defense from Penta indeed. I cannot wait to see how it actually plays out.
So we're going to toss to a break here. We'll be back in just a matter of moments. Thank you once again for your enduring patience. We'll see you when the lobby is ready. welcome back. Thank you so much once again for your patience. Just a couple technical issues were preventing us from getting back into the game, but we are back now with the second matchup of the day, which is Penta versus Snook and Nose, and we'll jump straight in to the second round of Bank. And Penta's on defense, Snook and Nose on attack, and Snook and Nose is actually up by a score of 1-0, being successful on their first defense. So we'll load into Bank, and we'll let you see exactly what's going on, and hopefully third time's a charm.
Yeah, so just to completely recap about the exact problems that were happening there. Not only were impact grenades not working on a very specific wall for Penta on their top floor setup, but also shotguns weren't working, deagles weren't working, nothing was working. Couldn't make a hole in the wall. So, hopefully that is not going to be a problem now. And if it is, I'm not sure what we'll do. Maybe just pray to Lord Tachanka for a bit, but you know, it is what it is, and we'll see what exactly happens here in this round as the setup goes out.
We'll hold our breath as they do get set up, and you can see they are getting ready. Fabian was the one having the issue, so keep your eye on that Caltrop logo. As Fabian looks to use his impact grenade to try and get a strategy working, and this is something too that we touched on very briefly. It looks like he's actually not even going to do it. I don't even think he's going to chance it, which is a smart idea because
let's see. I mean, let's give him some time.
Maybe he just needs to run it off. I'm not certain, but
10 seconds.
Oh, is this what he was trying? Hey!
And it worked this time. So here we go. Now, one of the things too is that a strategy that he was using is that it could be given away, and that's one thing that we talked about very briefly.
Oh, do I win $10?
I mean, I didn't take that bet. I didn't doubt you at all.
I should have pushed the.
We should have shaken hands.
Yeah.
But round number 2 now underway. We talked to death about the strategy, so we can actually focus on the action for the first little bit here. And you can see, what did we call? They've spawned by parking garage, which is why you would have won those $10 for those that weren't tuning in. And actually 2 that are now pushing from the side of the building rather than having all 5 of them go towards the alleyway.
I've got paper here. I've got a pen. I could have written up a quick contract. We could have shaken hands, but I didn't want to press the issue, to be honest. All that aside, though, this attack is going underway pretty swiftly from Snook and Nose. They're applying all the pressure that is necessary from every single angle, and this is why CEO is not a favored bomb site on Bank. It really isn't. It's just too easy to pincer, and as you can see, Chaos playing that angle that I was talking about onto stock from storage. And I don't think we have anyone actually playing inside of stock, though. They're not going to take that risk. As I say risk, though, Eunice going to be getting aggressive on Lackey from the square stairs. Not sure if that's the right call, but it will actually work out for him in this instance. Still very risky, though.
Very rare to see an Ela use that much of your magazine and not be able to get a kill. And Secretly blows himself up. So the first frag of the round is going to go to Secretly, who kills himself. And that will set up his team very well. As you can see, Lackey on a shred of health as well, 1 to 2 bullets away from certain death. An excellent job to that sledge. That is the King Leo school for how to use grenades.
I don't know if anyone else saw that coming, but even if he had gotten the grenade off, it would have hit the wall.
Yeah, it would have hit the ridge on the window or the window frame, and that would have been it. I mean, that was a lose-lose situation, and lose he did.
It just made me thinking too much about his nade placement. That's unfortunate, but moving on, Snook and Nose still has a good amount of control in this round. They can make an execution happen on this site with 55 seconds to go.
One of their soft breachers is down. You do still have the Ash. You can see Snookin is going to take a healthy portion of damage too, and all the pushes in being thwarted until Renewals and Meepy are able to eliminate Pengu and KS before Fabian takes down Renewals and puts us at a 3v3. So as you said, Snookin knows doing a good job of potentially still hanging on, but Meepy goes down, and look at how little health is left in both Lackey and Snookin as Eunice is able to get that kill. Doesn't miss his shots. That time around, Fabian hold up, waiting for the push of the Thermite as Goga can close in. Snookin takes Fabian out of the fight as Eunice finds Snookin for the refrag and leaves Lackey, who will get the diffuser planted as Eunice pushes up and pre-fires every single spot except for where Lackey is and doesn't miss. The Ela gets the final kill, and Penta, thanks to the, I guess, the betrayal of Secretly, are able to take round number 2.
He betrayed himself. Your worst enemy is yourself, ladies and gentlemen. You learned it here. And now it's going to be an even scoreline on that 1-1. Both teams seeming to favor the defensive side of this map, and that stands to reason. It is a very defender side. I would argue this is a defender-sided map. Staff room open area, going to be the second defense coming out from Snook and Nose. They went for the basement first round, but they were a little bit abnormal. I think we can say that. Doing a 4-man roam, it's definitely a stretch. It worked out great for them, though. It caught Penta way off guard. Now, going on to staff room open area, it's a little bit less abnormal in terms of site selection as compared to Penta's top floor hold. But how are they going to actually institute this hold? Like, what's going to be the thing that they do here that's going to throw Penta off guard like we saw in that first round?
And this is a hard site to defend unless you really know your strats in and out, especially against a team like Penta who was going to know this and know how to counter it. But one thing that has remained consistent from Snook and Nose all season long is to expect the unexpected. They have pulled a lot of things out that I don't think we were anticipating and have thrived because of it. And that's why they are now in the playoffs and almost took game number 1 against the defending champions. And I suspect that we're going to see some interesting ways to hold this. Renewals has been roaming as Rook twice now, and nobody expects the roaming Rook anymore.
Nobody expects the roaming Rook. I love it. Yeah, no, it is.
He's not roaming anymore.
He's fallen back. But he did open up a lot of opportunities for his roamers with those impact grenades. Great use of the utility there. Rook, very far, I think, as a stretch. Extremely far, maybe, out of the meta right now, seeming almost little to no play in this current state of the game. But on a map like Bank, I guess, if you're going for a heavy roam game, you need more impact grenades. Justifiable to bring them, you know? You can make that work for you. I would have expected to see him spawn peeking, but yeah, I guess not.
And one thing, too, for people that are not as familiar with this game is that Rook armor does not protect you whatsoever from a headshot.
Right.
And, of course, when you play at this level, how are you going to die most of the time to a headshot? In this case, Renewals gets gunned down using shots to every part of his body except for his head, as Eunice looked to push up but is thwarted by the castle of Meepy, who catches him on the stairs.
The attackers cannot know that he's been down. Meanwhile, Fabian going to go down inside of the main lobby by secretly a good roam inside of the main lobby itself. Eunice going to look to challenge but fall back, instead focusing his efforts on the roamers on the top floor. They do not know Renewals is down. Again, no point notifications in the Pro League. So while they did down him, they just can't possibly be aware of that unless they drone him. Secretly going to get marked and finished off by Eunice. An excellent frag there. Good coordination for Penta. And it's now a 3-on-4 as there is no hope for Renewals being picked up with a lack of a dock in this situation.
You still got an F2 above. I think that's a situation where instead of a Rook, a Dock would have been more useful. I think it would have been the impact grenades that were important. But Meepy getting a kill and then a refrag or a trade from KS onto Renewals. So the Rook is finally finished off as the Twitch is able to go inside a stock, and Pengu is going to get Meepy as well, and that's going to leave just Lackey and Snook him up. But Lackey, a fraction of his health remaining, and it will be the only the smoke that is whole.
Oh, no,
and KS, he went for a 360 Twitch drone, couldn't get it, and through the hatch. KS is able to get the final 2 on Snookin, as well as Lackey, and that's it. And Penta stringing 2. And now they're up 2-1.
Did I say save? I meant baited. I meant to say baited. Totally called that one. Like you said, 2-1. What's going to be the bomb site now, Penta? Where are you going to bring us? Teller's Archives. So no basement defense from, I would argue, both teams. Okay, yes. Snook knows they defended the basement, but did they really defend the basement? No, they did not defend the basement. 90% of the kills on that round of that basement hold were up in the top 2 floors. One single kill was downstairs. So nobody's really defended the basement yet. And Penta is not going to start that trend here as they go for not an abnormal site, just, you know, usually not your secondary.
And we even touching on that, they didn't even make it close to the basement either. It wasn't even that they didn't even get to attack the basement because of the roam game. They didn't even come in close proximity to getting there. They were halted on the first floor.
Torn apart, really.
Yes, Snook and Nose feasted on that round.
Love it.
And now we head to what is technically round number 4 with Penta holding an advantage. Of course, Penta taking map number 1 means that if they are successful over the next couple of rounds, that they will punch their ticket to Sao Paulo and will be the final team, other than the APAC teams, rather, to secure their spots. And the APAC finals coming up actually tomorrow, and we will know which of the 2 teams are making it in just a couple days.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a quick little recap at the end of this stream for all of you who are not familiar with APAC, just get you a quick rundown so you get up to date and up to speed on that new region addition to this Pro League. Very interesting region at that.
Some good teams there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they test their mettle at LAN. I think there's a lot that they can learn and a lot of growth that will come from them as well, and I think that there's going to be a lot that are going to be catching the North American, Latin America, and EU teams off guard with. Now, almost first minute expired. You can see that once again, Snookin' Noses just managed to work their way inside of the building, but they still have been unable to flush out any of these roamers that look quite heavily holed up right now in that CEO office and inside of the
Oof, almost a team kill there as Goga makes the run out decision onto Secretly. Finally gets that kill. Snook can get a challenge onto the meeting table. Not gonna get the kill on Pengu. He's gonna walk away with half of his HP. And it's just S-Nose right now trying to collapse onto this storage room. Lackey gonna save his teammate, taking out Fabian. Very aggressive play from Fabian. Not gonna work out for him. And now it's starting to even itself out onto a 4-on-4. Junis challenging, still inside of that CEO office, and it's just back and forth with Snookin' Nose and Penta. Snookin' gonna take out Pengu, Goga gonna refrag onto Renewals, and it's just a constant engagement on this storage room. Lackey, a kill onto Eunice. Eunice, a refrag onto Lackey. It's a trade. Chaos, the last remaining Penta defender. Snookin' and Meepy going to contest from above. They have everything in their favor except for a little sliver of HP on Snookin', gonna allow KS to finish him off quickly. But with 1 minute, Snookin' Nose have everything they need to finish this round.
They found the location of the Mira as well, just inside of Tellers, and are going to look to push inside. It'll be very easy for them to open that wall up inside of the office and push an open area. Of course, you have both of your hard destructors, your hard breachers still remaining, and Snookin' is going to be likely first contact. And KS is in a good position to be able to challenge both of them. If the Thermite with the diffuser pushes in through that hole inside of office, then the Vector will await, but Meepy, what a shot! Hits the deck and on his belly is able to get the frag, and we are all tied up. Look at this. Whew. That is as nice a shot as it gets.
A pixel, ladies and gentlemen. Not even needing the use of an ACOG. Great job to Meepy there. Interesting decision there from Snookin' Nose. Let's split up when one of us is on a sliver of HP against Amira. I'm not sure that's the right call, but it ended up working out for them in the end. And yet again, ladies and gentlemen, we have a back and forth map here on the second of the best of three. Again, Penta walked away with that first map. It was Clubhouse, which is Snookin' Nose's map selection. They walked away 5-3. Now on Penta's map selection, it's 2-2. And there's still very much potential for either team to walk away with a significant lead. And I think we have, ladies and gentlemen, another basement hold, this time from Snookin' Nose. Will they actually defend from the basement this time is the big question. Will Penta try to counteract if they don't? Now, the way that Penta could very easily counter a basement hold not in the basement on this heavy roam, which is what Snookin' Nose is going to be doing again, by the way. You can tell by the way they're opening up these drop downs. This is going to be a heavy roam game from Snookin' Nose. The way that Penta could counter this is to simply push in from the server room. And even if, now the thing is, of course, Snookin' Nose is going to have somebody in a place to stop this, but even if they do stop it immediately, and they do have the rotation come from those roamers very quickly onto the drop down, they're still going to face the problem of, oh, well, now we have a bunch of open drop downs and we forfeited all of our control because of a server take. So it's down to Penta to read that. And if there's any team that's going to be able to read that, well, it's Penta.
And they've got Pengu on Blackbeard. And those are terms of an engagement.
I think he wants to win.
I think that's a pretty standard thing too. Some harassment from the Twitch drone of KS onto Renewals, who we will see the Rook roam yet again off-site upstairs. You can see that Pengu is going to see him right away, and what a shot. The lethality of that Scar able to take the Rook down. And once again, that Rook armor does not protect you from headshots whatsoever, and case in point.
You also saw that secretly inside of the elevator. Now you can see the encroaching Penta lineup. Gonna get the flashbang onto Secretly. He's full blind, ladies and gentlemen. One more flash and it's all over for him. He peeks aggressively but loses the fight. Fabian coming out on top. And now it's a complete roam clear happening here for Penta, but this happened last time. And last time, Snooki Nose was able to turn around and give them a message in kind, but this time it's not happening. Eunice gonna get another kill, this time onto Meepy. 2 versus 5 now, still plenty of time. Lackey gonna get the finish off on Chaos, but there's still plenty of pressure from the Penta side. Lackey gonna get very much lit up as he retreats back into the bomb site. So they're still safe and alive and well, but opened up drop downs and very significant man disadvantage and lots of time yet to stall. Not sure that I can call that a successful roam game.
No, I mean, you've killed half the round, but you're facing the final 90 seconds with only 2, one of whom has a very small amount of health. Eunice is going to get another kill on the Snookin, and that's just going to leave the Whisper of Lackey left to try and outduel the 4 members of Penta, who will assuredly begin to close in. And look at how little health he has with 1 minute to go. Now, of course, Ela is an operator that is able to win these fights, especially using those concussive mines, but not even a chance as Pengu destroys that Ela through the desk. And Penta only 2 rounds away. You can just see, saw the head of Ela, didn't know where she was, but sprayed the desk, and that's all it took. And the attackers doing a much better job of getting those roamers and then holding their ground and not playing too loose and getting picked off by the defense.
So what was Clubhouse for Penta? Why did they win it? Adaptation. Why are they winning now? Why do they have this lead on Bank now? Adaptation. It was the same exact defensive strategy that Snookin Nose already employed once before. This time, however, Penta was ready to receive it. They were like, oh, okay, you're going to have 4 roamers? Not a problem. We'll be aware of that this time. We'll put ourselves in a position to refrag should it be necessary, and in general, we'll just be more attentive of clearing out those roamers. And well, that's exactly what they did. Now we are going to see the first defense of the basement from Penta. They have never been here before. How are they going to handle it? Will it be a 4-man roam game, or will we see a much more standardized defense of the basement in that they just play, well, almost entirely downstairs? Maybe 2 roamers, 1 roamer?
I do like that they are going downstairs, though,
Ooh,
and as well, Penta is one team that has been among the few running a dual smoke echo.
And a mute as well, as you can see here. That's kind of weird.
And I like that because we saw it before on Clubhouse, too, that yes, you lost your smoke early, but you still had the echo there as a backup, and that's exactly how it needs to be. And of course, Mute is an operator that does see a fair amount of play on this side on Bank. It's not too much of a surprise.
One thing for Mute, from my perspective, is that it really perplexes me a little bit that we don't see Mute played on Snookin Nose's side. Because think about it, they have 4 roamers. I mean, I don't think we even see 4 roamers here from Penta. They maybe have 3, and yet they still bring that Mute, and that Mute is going to help the roam game so much. They're not even roaming on the top floor.
No,
but it's a much lighter roam, but it's gonna be, I would say, a lot more vicious because of the lack of drone information that's going to be in favor of Snookin Nose. That said, they do have a very good crest here from this drop down. They're going to be able to utilize in their favor, and they are collapsing pretty well onto Eunice here.
And how many times have we seen a team be able to use those mute jammers to allow the roamers to escape without being found out? And that's something, too, that I don't know exactly how it is being employed by Penta at the moment. A beautiful bout of coordination as Renewals gets taken down by a combo of that Yokai drone and Eunice, making it look so easy. That Scorpion is able to tear through anybody without much difficulty. It gives the defense an advantage of 1. And now Lackey is going to see Eunice from behind, and that is just a misplay from Eunice. They're missing every single shot except for 1 or 2, and down goes the Ela to put us at 4-4. Secretly now, and Goga will come within inches of one another, and he almost gets a second now in Snookin 2. A nice Nitro Cell through the wall, a bit of a delay there. Just waiting for Snookin to get around the corner. We'll have to rely on the Deagle, but instead we'll run right into Meepy on those stairs just beneath the Skylight stairwell.
Big question is, will we see Penta get more aggressive onto these open area players, or no? They're just going to let it slip away. I think that's the right call. Honestly, in this instance, Snookin Nose has a good lock on all of the rotations upstairs, and unfortunately, as that opportunity is missed, it was not really able to be recaptured by Penta. Now, as time ticks away, 43 seconds, it's still 3v4, so not completely lost for Penta. They do have a good spread and a nice way to hold this bomb site. Got the Echo drone, they've got the C4 likely on KS, and they also have, I believe, all 3 gas grenades, as you can see. They do.
And when it's a 4v3 like this, and you do have your smoke and your Echo left, it's almost like a 4v4, especially with the Yokai still in play. And you can see it's just hiding from all of the mass destruction. As KS is going to wait for a drop, sees one, can't win that fight, secretly takes it, and now a 4v2 for Snookin' Nose to be able to try and put this back on even footing. Pengu does get a kill, and you can see now Penta is going to need to try to get into that site. Are they just going to run out of time? Blum is going down. Fabian gets a kill. There's the diffuser. Pengu gets the final kill. Penta is now going to go 1 away from taking this, as they will push into match point on a very, very good retake on that site.
A retake, yes, but honestly just seemed like the defensive strategy was to play as passively as possible leading to the last section of that round. Normally what you would see in this instance, 25 seconds ago, 3v4, we have a smoke, we have an Echo, we have all their utility in hand. What are we going to do? We're going to hard hold that bomb site, try to deny the defuse plant, but they read into the fact that Snookin' Nose would read into that fact and would get aggressive on the push into the site in turn. That was Snookin' Nose attack strategy, and it was well read. But Penta just going an extra layer, falling back, and setting themselves up for that retake perfectly. Because of the lack of time, Snookin' Nose didn't have the ability to maneuver in any meaningful way, and they got picked apart as they forced way too deep into that bomb site.
Yeah, and as was touched upon, you leave the smoke there to choke out the defense. You saw that they were able to stall them out for about 25 seconds. They had to push in the dying moments. And there was some very good coordination there. You saw the 2 red highlights, meaning that the Valcam had spotted them. And then when that happened, all it really took was the smoke and the Echo to push back into sight, and that was it. There wasn't even really a contest.
Yeah, and now, Snookin' Nose.
10 seconds remaining.
They have defended the basement 3 times now. First time, heavy roam. Second time, heavy roam. Difference being Penta completely adapted on that second time. They counteracted the roam in its entirety. They picked it apart, and it was a really simple attack from there on out. Just come in for your normal server take. This time, will Snookin' Nose go for the same old and get picked apart again, or will they opt to go for a adaptation, do something, maybe a heavy anchor, a little bit of a change?
And they're going to need to do something different because Penta is looking like they are regaining the strength that they had. So it's one of those things where Penta does seem to get better the longer a map goes on. This is no exception whatsoever. And of course, they can taste land. They can see those plane tickets to Sao Paulo in front of their eyes, and all they need to do is win in the next 2 minutes and 15 seconds to be able to go back and defend their crown and try to close out 2017. They can't do it if they don't get to land. So now, they will push up.
Whoa.
A great shot from Eunice on a secretly, and there's only 4 left for Snookin' Nose for Penta to be able to challenge. And what a trade there as Renewals, a beautiful shot around the corner onto Eunice.
I'm guessing that was an equally, whoa, shot, but unfortunately we didn't get to see it. Sounded like a one-tap even.
It did.
Good job there to get that refrag. That was very important to hold on to their hopes and dreams of pushing us to map number 3 and denying Penta that quick and easy 2-0. But they do have to win 3 rounds in a row. Excuse me, 2 rounds in a row, including this one.
Pengu positioned on the stairs. The rounds that he's played Blackbeard, he has been nothing less than formidable. That is what we've come to know from one of the best players in all of Europe, especially one of the best Blackbeard players as well. And inside of open area, they still have been unable to flush out Renewals. Now you can see Pengu will begin to push. KS Penta is going to get the Rook from behind before Meepy takes out KS. And now Fabian's going to come in and do battle the Ashe and the Jaeger. How poetic. But all out of ammo, and Fabian, a beautiful pistol kill onto Meepy, will put us in a 3v2 with just under a minute to go in what could be the final round of our regular season before the teams know who is going to playoffs. Now it is all up to Snookin' and Lackey. How many times have we seen them be the final 2 alive? And a smoke will go down to try to choke off Garage. Now Lackey is going to be tasked with defending A, and he'll look into servers to try to make sure that nobody gets in. Another smoke now in Garage as well to halt anybody from pushing down those stairs. And now Lackey will actually be able to get up into that hallway and begin to push inside of servers. Now, Goga sits there alongside Pengu, so you've got two. The Blackbeard to give cover while you can get the diffuser down. Fabian will come in and will get torn apart by the Scorpion of Lackey. 2v2. Pengu coming in. Goga will get in over the desk and look to try to challenge. Lackey sees him, will get Pengu. What a great play by Lackey. He's going to go for Goga, and Lackey manages to win it for Snook and Nose, and they stay alive as it is 4-3 now. Snook and Nose staving off defeat for the time being.
Gonna have to win this next attack round, though, in order to put it into that OT. Penta, where will you defend? You've given us so many interesting sites throughout this map. What's going to be the decision here? They're still undecided so far.
Oh, what a play by Lackey.
Yeah, no, that was an absolutely tremendous hold there by Lackey. It really shouldn't have gone in that way, though. I mean, you got to attribute a lot of it to the misplay of Penta coming in extremely uncoordinately. It was the least aggressive attack I've ever seen from Penta in this match for both maps. And then more importantly, they were coordinating not all that well. I mean, what was Fabian doing, just kind of running in by himself while his teammates were over in server? I get that the flashbangs are going to catch your enemy. You see him on the drone, you know you can make it happen, but there's the crossfire coming out from Lackey. It's just not, the potential's not there. And a little bit of a misplay, they happen. And now we're looking at the potential for that OT. Now, Penta defending that top.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's probably going to be successful. They've looked good on defense, though if you take a look at the score sheet, defense has only won 3 times so far of a total 7 rounds. So the attackers do have the slight advantage. We will go to overtime, of course, if that trend sticks and the attackers are able to win because Snook and Nose is down by 1. I like the way that Penta played on defense. Let's just touch back on that round for 1 second. The Thermite vaulting over the desk to challenge inside of red by Vault. Why would you just not start to get that plant down and have Pengu play a tight angle and force them to come to you? Instead, they went hunting.
Yeah, I think what was going on there in their heads is, okay, we got 2 things that we have to deal with right now. 1, an Ela. 2, a smoke. And both of those things have a form of disruption. Now, what can we not do when there's only 20 seconds on the clock? We can't start to try and plant simply like behind the bomb, for example, while we're covering, because what's going to happen? Gas grenades, Ela charges, and they're going to stall at the time, and we won't be able to plant. The round's going to be over on a timer. We need to make the push happen. I think it was the right call. They couldn't have possibly known that neither of the defenders were in a great position to actually use their utility. But that was the case. And if they had gone for a simple plant, I think they could have pulled away with that round. Again, that would have been the wrong call, though.
And now you can see Eunice is in rough shape. He's cornered inside of that elevator. He does not have impacts to be able to get himself out efficiently. He does have the barbed wire, one of which he still has not deployed, and that's going to be tough for him to be able to escape that elevator, especially if they drone him out really quickly. And you can see that up on top of parking garage, they're going to wait for him to push. And Lackey, though, will ignore him and begin to his assault, rather, on that CEO office. They might let Eunice actually escape from this unscathed. Renewals gets first kill onto Pengu. That's your bandit down. Eunice now still cornered. And Renewals is going to wait. If the L is able to push out at the same time, could potentially get a kill on the Twitch here, who sees, and that's exactly what happens. Eunice dives out as BattlEye takes 2 casualties with them, and Renewals goes down, and now Goga and KS add to that. And Lackey and Meepy falling means it is a 4v2, and Penta in a very strong position to secure. Snookin and Secretly are going to need to do all of the work. How many times have we seen them be the last 2? Fabian gets a kill onto Secretly as Snookin takes out Eunice, and it's all up to the Hibana versus 3 members of the defending champions to prevent them from taking this and going to LAN. The Hibana will start to push in through front desk. Survey CEO office, and Fabian, the captain, gets the final kill, and Penta goes to Sao Paulo, as we have the final team from EU finding their place.
An excellent defense there from Penta. I like the changes that Snook and Nose tried to put in there, coming instead of just from everywhere, directly from the square stairs. Unfortunately, they did spread themselves a little bit more thin than they could have, or than they should have, arguably. And as a result, they did walk away with a loss. A nice performance specifically from Eunice. 10 kills. Really standing apart from every other person on both teams. And not only that, that's 10 kills post-rehost. So, 2-0 victory for Penta. Guaranteed spot at LAN. we're still going to find out if they're going to be the first seed or the second seed, but either way, they got that guaranteed spot. I don't think that's catching anyone off guard necessarily. The European teams now that have qualified, Penta and ENCE, are going to be the more typical ones that everyone's expecting. I think this is the only region where we haven't had a significant upset.
I would say no. I mean, Millennium not going to LAN, I think, is a bit of an upset just because they did go last season and they didn't look like they looked like they deserved it.
3 spots, 2 spots.
But 3 spots now down to 2 spots. Of course, there is going to be somebody who loses at this musical chairs game, and of course, ENCE and Penta are able to secure it. And now we'll go to LAN. Of course, Penta, we touched on this a number of times. They are the reigning champions. They're going to look to try to go for a three-peat. And I like the way they played. They played strong. They played smart. They got better as the round went along. And they proved why they are deserving of the title of one of the best teams in the world. But I really do want to give commendation to Snook and Nose for how they played. They took one heck of a fight to a team that I think almost 86% of the community thought was going to be successful, and they were right, but I think it should have been maybe a little bit closer in terms of an actual vote with the way that Snook and Nose played.
Absolutely. I mean, but you're talking about the poster boy of the Rainbow Six community, which is Penta. It's unquestionable that the public opinion is going to be swayed in favor of Penta, and obviously they did manage to walk away with that win, so kind of it stands to reason. But you're right. Snook and Nose put up a heck of a fight. I like a lot of the strategies they tried to employ. The problem, every time, the underlying problem with Snook and Nose's strategy, though, was a simple, unwavering, unchanging fact. They used the same attack and defense strategies for each bomb site every time, and Penta didn't fall for them twice. It was unfortunate.
They were able to capitalize, and ultimately, like, that's all it takes sometimes, and if you don't change, you fall behind. But with that said, let's take a look at the playoff brackets for the EU region. And here you are. You saw that ENCE, by a score of 2-0, bested Millennium in the very first matchup today. And then you just witnessed Penta 2-0 Snook and Nose. So ENCE and Penta are the two that will represent the region in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Millennium and Snook and Nose will battle for 3rd and 4th due to the way that they have retooled the number of teams coming from the region, with APAC now getting 2 spots. North America and EU no longer send a 3rd place team. This means that Millennium and Snook and Nose are not playing for a spot to go to Brazil. They are just simply playing for an opportunity to have a better rank or a better seed next season. That's it.
That's the playoffs brackets for Europe, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's just touch very quickly on the APAC schedule and see exactly what's going to be going on with their finals. Now, again, as it was just stated, APAC has 2 spots at the finals for this season. But before then, they've got their own finals to decide who those 2 teams are going to be. You've got Norarengu going up against Mindfreak to start things off. And then you've got Unique Monster going up against Mantis FPS.
No, those are not their actual logos, so we'll see it on the next one. Cryptic is a team that replaced Tide.gg. They were just picked up, and then that one in the bottom right, I believe, is Ainz.
The top logos are correct. Norarengus and Mindfreaks are correct, but the bottom ones are not.
So in just a little over 24 hours, you will see on this channel right here the very first match of the APAC Finals, which is Norarengu versus Mindfreak. That's going to be in roughly around 27 hours or so by my calculations. Of course, they do straddle some time zones, so it's 7 p.m. tomorrow for North America, and I guess technically it's 1 a.m. tomorrow if you live in Europe. It's a bit confusing, but the times are on the screen for you there. Now, on to the next day, Corvidae versus Ainz, and then what should be Cryptic doing battle against... The previous one was correct. So Corvidae versus Ainz and Mantis versus Unique Monster. They will be going throughout the day. Our apologies for the graphics not updating. But so basically what's going to happen is if you tune in tomorrow in roughly 27 hours, there's almost wall-to-wall coverage of this APAC region, and it's going to keep rolling. And then the next day, we will have the semifinals and the finals. And, of course, the way it works is that only 2 teams of those 8 that you just saw will be making it to Brazil, and they will be determined starting at midnight or 6 a.m. Central European Standard Time on the 22nd of October.
Now, of course, the APAC Finals do have a $10,000 prize pool to fight for, but the more coveted prize, I think, is just going to those Brazilian finals. I think that's really what everyone's going to be fighting for. And the main thing for the APAC Finals for me is going to be just finding the diamonds in the rough. There are going to be 2 teams that are going to emerge from this APAC Final triumphant, and I'm guessing that they are definitely going to be competitive on an international scale. I also want to see how those scenes in the individual different regions of APAC develop coming off of this finals.
Right.
How they take that back, those lessons that they've learned to their region and just teach other people how exactly things work. So this is just the actual schedules. We revamped them. They've now, I believe, completely accurate. So thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. But that's it. Those are the APAC schedule. That's the European playoffs all locked up and done for.
And I think that the last thing to say is not only they're going to have their own casters, all of whom are fantastic, their own hosts, their own presentation. It's not going to be done by us, so we will see you actually in a week and a half, which I'll touch on in just a second, but they'll have their own production crew, and we talk about the different metas and the different way that they play in Latin America versus the way they play in North America, which is EU. But you've got different regions. You've got Japanese teams. You've got a team from Hong Kong. You've got a team from Australia. You've got teams from Southeast Asia. And I want to see how they are able to do that as well, because I know a lot of people in EU, in South America, and North America haven't been able to get that same exposure.
Yeah, it's difficult to really actually even figure out how those teams play, given the ping difference. Now, obviously, you can organize strategy sessions and try to decipher things from each other with disregarding ping, but it does complicate a lot of the process for some teams, and some teams just will not go for that thing. So as a result, they're their own little isolated community, and they have their own little isolated meta, which could catch a lot of the other regions off guard. I think a lot of people are immediately saying, oh, once the 2 APAC teams get to the finals in Sao Paulo, Brazil, they're just going to they're gonna lose immediately because they don't have that experience. I don't think that's it at all. No. I think when they get to those finals in Brazil, they're going to have something unique to show us, and I very much look forward to actually finding out what that is.
So with that said, we take a break next week. So APAC is going to be broadcasted on this channel, like we said, in around 27 hours. But we physically do not return until Monday, October 30th for our usual time at 8 p.m. Eastern to do the seeding matches for North America. Now, I don't know if everybody here heard, but we bid a fond farewell to both Bloodbath and Emzo as they are done for this season. We will see them again in Sao Paulo, but for the foreseeable future, at least for the seeding matches and then relegations as well at the start of November, when the North American Challenger League, North American Pro League teams, same with Latin America, same with EU, are being broadcast by us as well. It's just going to be Kix and I for the next week and a half, or 2 weeks and a half, rather. So, with that said, tune in for APAC starting tomorrow or the next day, depending on where you live in the world. And then on Monday, October 30th, we will see you again at 8 p.m. Eastern for our seeding matches for North America. But on behalf of ESL and Ubisoft, my name is Parker Interrobang Mackay, once again with Michael Kickstar Stockley. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in a week and a bit. Have a great night.